Hello, everyone. Good morning. Happy Sunday, whatever time it is for you. I'm Fusion, joined here by Rissa, and we're excited to be commentating the finale of CCA Division 2. We're going to be casting the first 3 rounds of this exciting bracket before, where the top 8 teams are facing off. How are you doing today, Rissa?
I'm doing good. I'm still waking up. It's only 10 a.m. for me and you. So,
sure is.
And I like to sleep in on the weekends, but we're good. I had my coffee. I'm ready for some Splatoon this morning. And it looks like too we get to go in here like right away, which is exciting.
Yeah, we've got the Golden Barracudas from Kutztown University versus Surging Sea of University in North Carolina at Greensboro. A couple of familiar faces, I believe. JP and Swisher are on the Surging Sea team, so we're expecting to see a Tentabrella coming out of that side. Seems like in the past we've had a variety of comps coming out of Golden Barracudas as well, sometimes featuring that Rapid Pro Deco, which I'm a fan of. I'd be excited to see that, but we're already going to be hopping right into it. Interestingly, we're going to be seeing that Dreadringer coming out from Golden Barracudas as we head into the first game on Mako Zones.
This is always one of the maps, I don't know what it is, but I always picture Dreadringer doing so well on this map, especially with having that splashdown as the special and just being able to come back into the zone and utilize that. Looks like we might be seeing that happen as Golden Barracudas essentially has a complete wipe happen here, and they are not in control of the zone, but they did have a couple members here right up in the action. That Dreadringer has that splashdown as well, so they did not need to utilize that in order to come back and get the zone. They were all able to rush in and get that without the special.
Yeah, there's the Dreadringer from the right side, able to find a pick. Golden Barracuda's not able to recapture, or they are able to recapture the zone, but not win that fight. JP has been doing an incredible job on that roller. They disrupted that first push, and there we go. Yet again, another pick on the right side. Golden Barracudas has been unable to deal with JP on the roller, finds another pick before going down, and still, it's such a difficult spot to be in if you're Golden Barracudas. You're running out of time. That Inkjet finds 2. The Tentabrella is getting up into your spawn. You're running out of time and space. Surging Sea looking to put this game away already.
I know they are. They're set up very dominantly. It looks like finally, I think that splashdown helped assist Golden Barracudas to take down 2 members of Surging Sea. Now paired with this triple strike, they are able to push forward and get the zone at least and give those 50 penalty points over to Surging Sea. But Surging Sea here, they're right back in the action. They got to be really careful with this Tenebrella, with the way that, Tenebrella mains, they know exactly how they want to play the weapon, and it looks like it's working out well for them. Golden Barracudas is going to have to kind of use this game to figure out how they want to counter that. And okay, looks like they are able to just take a complete wipe onto Surging Seas, and now they are the team that is setting up to get some points on the board, and they have no penalty points, so they're set up pretty good here.
Yeah, they certainly are. The timer is ticking, and that's a huge pick on the Tentabrella, and one more coming out. So this is a huge opportunity. Golden Barracudas now below the 50-point mark, looking to try and put this game away. We're going to have to see if they're going to be able to hold on to this lead, because that Inkjet is going to pose a lot of trouble for them. They don't have good ways to reach it from super far away. Here comes the roller moving in through the middle of the zone. Are they going to be able to create the space they need? The Tri-Slosher able to find a nice pick. The Bubble and Zone's going to swing Paint and Surging Sea's direction, and they are able to capture the zone back. Not before they lose that lead. On that right side, the Forge Pro, which has seen a little bit of a resurgence recently, trying to challenge down that Tentabrella, and with support from the team, the Golden Barracudas are able to team up against it in order to win that fight. Surging Sea going to be forced to jump out and have to take another shot to come back in. Only 2 more shots probably for Surging Sea. They're going to have to act quickly as the timer is ticking.
Yeah, this has been quite the flip here. It seems like Golden Barracudas figured out what they needed to do, and it's working out well for them. It looks like they're just kind of doing a better job at pairing up together. I can see them all kind of focusing one thing and making sure that they're fighting things together instead of playing more separate like they were at the beginning of this match. Maybe they just needed some time to adjust and figure out how to play against the other team, because right now, with 3 members down now with Surging C, no penalty points for Golden Barracudas. They are able to actually completely KO this and turn that around, taking game 1.
Yeah, huge turnaround from Golden Barracudas right at the end there. We saw that bubble come up from Surging C, but then the Reef Slider came out to counter it. Very difficult to deal with that if you're like a roller and a tent umbrella. You kind of have a little bit of a slower weapon, so you gotta give it some space, and it destroying the bubble and being able to break through it certainly is a fairly solid counter to that. We saw at the start of that game, the roller from JP was able to find a couple quick picks, and as soon as Golden Barracudas was able to stabilize and really space out the members of Surging C, they were able to survive a lot better. Yeah, you can see right at the start of the game, a couple picks came out, and that was what created the huge opening for Surging C. But Golden Barracudas did a great job stabilizing, trying to fight together throughout the rest of that game, and really singling out a lot of the members that are not. I don't want to say it's not a bunch of self-sufficient weapons, but like they're weapons that don't paint so much around them. So you can kind of paint their areas and single them out just with paint alone, and Golden Barracudas did just that.
Yeah, that's true. Surging C didn't necessarily have, like, I feel like typically you might want one shooter with different weapons like this to maybe just help utilize a little more paint on the board. But I totally get what you mean. You know, it seems like they're more self-sufficient weapons, but not as necessarily. I mean, the roller and the tent umbrella at the beginning of this especially were playing really well together, able to play off of each other, but I liked that you said it was like once they started singling out the members of Surging C and just playing around that, Golden Barracudas was able to really kind of counter their playstyle.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is counter picks, so Surging C is going to be able to come back with a counter pick of their own, and they're going to opt to go to Tower Control on Shipshape Cargo Company. That's an interesting pick. I think difficult map to lock out on, but I think it's one where maybe Bubble could find a little bit more value. This is probably a tower map where Tentombrella finds a lot of value as well. Interestingly, I feel like this isn't the greatest. It's an okay Inkjet map, but we haven't seen that much Inkjet, so Ballpoint being an interesting pick as well coming out here. I think Ballpoint's really able to kind of flex its stuff and show its flexibility on Tower Control more so than other modes. So we'll see what the Barracudas are able to pull out here. Or sorry, what Surging C is able to pull out here.
Yeah, a lot of times it's like if those Ballpoint players, they're so comfortable with it and they know exactly how they want to play it, so a lot of times they'll just end up sticking with it and playing it throughout, and then totally, if they're able to utilize the Inkjet that it has as well, that can come into play and be really, really helpful. So starting game 2 here, taking a look at these comps, it looks like on the side of Surging C, no weapon switch-ups in there, but on the other side, Golden Barracudas, they're coming out with a decav actually this time. Quite so many weapon switch-ups here, having a shot, an end zap, and then that rapid blaster as well to boot.
Yeah, there's that rapid pro deco that we mentioned before, and it looks like it is going to be Surging C with the early advantage here. The Tentombrella was able to move forward, get an early pick. Those strikes come out in an inopportune place. Kanamic on the Ballpoints able to finish them off, and now the roller guarding that tower at the first checkpoint. It's a really good spot for the roller to be. Surging C is able to create the space they need to get this checkpoint, and that is going to be a huge roadblock out of the way. It does seem like it's going to be the end of the push for Surging C, but getting the first checkpoint out of... or not.
Oh my gosh.
Getting it out of the way for Surging C is huge, but JP saying it's not over yet. Finding a couple nice picks, playing defense on the tower, and that Tentombrella is in top left. They go down, but huge push so far from Surging C.
Yeah, what a push to start out this game. Oh my goodness. And if you're on the other side, being Golden Barracudas, at least, you know, okay, they got all the way to 19, but at least you can tell yourselves, okay, there's still, you know, 4 minutes left of this match. We have plenty of time to make something happen. But right now, Surging C is really kind of showing why this was their counter pick. They started with a dominating start. They got those jump-ins as well to boot. Having a tri-slosher and a roller just jump in onto the tower and just, you know, use the main weapon to get picks, and not expecting that can be really, really deadly, and that's exactly what we saw. But finally, Golden Barracudas on the tower. Now it's their turn to be at that first checkpoint, and looks like they're going to be able to get through that as well. Just got to avoid that Zuka that comes out, and actually, Golden Barracudas has these specials as well. They had that whale come out, they have the bubble on tower, and now this is kind of making a big flip here. 2 members go down on Surging C, and they are already at the second checkpoint.
Yes, they are, but unfortunately for them, they have a roller just lurking in the wings. They're able to drop onto that tower and take out 2 members of Golden Barracudas, so no lead just yet. They are going to try and continue this push by getting up into that top right from this perspective here, but unfortunately abandoning the tower means Surging C is able to take control of mid and able to clear out the remaining members of Golden Barracudas. So that is a good push, but it is going to only result in that second checkpoint being taken. Not quite as big an opportunity as they were hoping for there. Surging C is going to have an opportunity to answer back, though. They do have a lot of space in mid, and with that tri-slosher, they're able to rain down paint on that low ground on the left side. And once you get the tower rolling on this map, it's certainly dangerous, Rissa.
It is. It can get really, really snowbally, as we've seen in both of these teams' pushes. Even though Golden Barracudas didn't necessarily get the lead, I mean, their push was also very snowbally. And we're seeing now the tower pushed up. It looks like Golden Barracudas did a really good job at stopping that push there that Surging C did again. But these tower pushes, these are getting far. I feel like a lot of times, you know, it can only maybe get to the first checkpoint area, maybe middle, but these pushes are getting really, really far. Now, Golden Barracudas, they know that they need to get the lead. There's a minute left of this match. There's specials coming out. There's the tri-strike. There's the bubble on the tower. We'll see if those specials helped create space for them in order to try and get the lead here.
McDonald Lover on the left side with the decav was able to find a couple picks, get behind Surging C, and now getting up into that top right, challenging the Tent Umbrella, not able to get the pick, and now it's a fight on the tower with time ticking down, or with the tower reaching the lead. The Tent Umbrella is able to save the game. EaUCD comes out victorious on that fight. Huge play from the Decavitator on Golden Barracudas, but not quite enough. That last member able to help Surging C stabilize and maintain that lead. Now Surging C in control of this game with time ticking down. 30 seconds left. They don't need to push the tower. They just need to maintain space and control of mid here. And they seem to be content with just playing patient, getting their cooler online, and you know, getting ready to counterattack when Golden Barracudas moves in.
Yeah, absolutely. You could see they kind of knew for a second that they just needed to hold the tower in mid, not push too far. But in turn, on the other side, Golden Barracudas knows that they need to get onto the tower. They got quite a few picks there onto Surging C, and that has actually enabled them to get onto the tower. They have to be careful, though. JP sharking just behind the tower. Bubbles, too, at that. That bubble also could have, you know, led Swisher to jump in and assist JP, but JP had it all to themselves. They were just sharking there, able to hop on the tower behind the other team as they were looking forward and trying to push. And just like that, Surging C evens up the score, 1-1 versus Golden Barracudas.
Really nice stuff there. It can get pretty tricky with time ticking down. Excuse me. It can get pretty tricky with time ticking down as the tower moves to that final checkpoint. It all really depends on that fight up near the enemy spawn, and both teams were unable to win the fight up there, and so the battle happens like at the checkpoint. Neither team able to get it. Yeah, this a huge play from the start of the game, giving Surging C that huge momentum swing. The 2 members that went down there staggered, really let Surging C get enough extra points as that tower moved to that checkpoint. Great stuff. JP did a lot of work in this game here, and Surging C able to hang on. But again, that was the counter pick from Surging Sea. So that's certainly a map they were well practiced on and, you know, prepared for going into this event. It's now going to be Golden Barracuda's turn to pick a map.
Man, I'm wondering what Golden Barracuda's counter pick is going to end up being. For one, you know, that seems like they have these different comps. I don't know if maybe their comps are dependent on certain modes or certain maps, but they definitely have different comps that they want to utilize for these first 2 games that we saw. So I'm very interested. You know, typically you would think, oh, maybe you're counterpicking because you have a rapid player and you want to play X, Y, and Z because of that. Or, you know, oh, we have a dread player, we want to counterpick because of that. But they have these different weapons that they're playing, so they must maybe you want to counterpick considering what the other team has been playing. They played the same comp these 2 games, so maybe you want to counterpick considering there's a tent and a roller, a ballpoint with the inkjet. You know, really thinking about that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like I don't know if Mako Mart was like the greatest map for Golden Barracudas, but they were able to make a lot of use of it. I think the geometry of the map being like very, not necessarily vertical, but having a lot of corners and stuff makes it difficult for like the tent umbrella to get as much use. It certainly helps roller, but larger maps may not work so much in their favor. So we may see a different. Excuse me, my stomach just suddenly started being
like
weird
that.
in the middle of that. Ooh, wow. That's a really interesting pick, actually. Golden Barracudas opts for Clamblitz, Barnacle, and Dime, which I think is one of the best tent maps in the game, if not the best.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, really. Considering, you know, it's such a big map and it has all that space for the tent umbrella to be able to do things. And so many avenues to it can push around. And paired with, we've seen JP really do a good job at sharking around and, you know, being able to shark in the tent umbrella shield. The Tri-Slosher too on their team has been utilizing the tent umbrella shield. So I could totally see that being good for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a good roller map too. So I personally, this feels like something they would pick if they're well practiced on. They kind of are going in with the expectation that it's something that they'll do well rather than it will screw with the opponents. And again, we have I believe Golden Barracudas substituting a player in. We'll have to see what comp changes they have, if any, here. Yeah, we are on Clamblitz again, so a little bit of a different dynamic. I think we've seen Surging Sea be a little bit more like explosive, and Barnacle and Dime can certainly get you a lot of points in at once, especially if you're able to get something with like a splash wall, a bubble, anything that maintains space up towards the enemy spawn. Really help your team get a lot of clams in and just get a lot of points in one go. Whereas it seemed like Surging Sea has been a little bit more, you know, baseline solid.
I get what you mean. If you're able to have a bubble up on the top left under the basket, that could totally come into play and be really, really helpful. And I'm just so curious what comps we're going to end up seeing here, especially, yeah, like you said too, I think this is more of a not I want to say comfort map, but like a map that they know that they have a game plan on and want to play on it. So always fun to see how these teams are thinking once the game starts.
Yes. Interesting. All right. Seems like we're going to hop into it. Yeah. Taking a look at some of the statistics that we have so far, it seems like Golden Barracudas has a below 50% win rate on Clamblitz at 46%, whereas Surging Sea's at a whopping 72.7 over CCA so far, which is pretty considerable. Considering, again, this is a Golden Barracudas counter pick. This definitely seems like something that that Surging Sea would opt for. I mean, all the other modes besides Clan Blitz, Golden Barracudas has at least a 60% win rate on. So very solid, but Clan Blitz seems to be a little bit of a weak spot for them, at least in the recent past of CCA.
That's interesting. That's super interesting. I love too CCA. We're coming in to commentate, but they have all the stats ready for us to be able to look
crazy.
at. It's so cool. I'm totally not used to this as a commentator, having all these tools to utilize and look at. So really, really shout out to CCA's staff and being able to put this all together. It's very, very, very cool and very helpful.
Yeah, they've got like a whole Power BI, very fancy, corporate tool. I don't know. It's a very nice like analytic tool for statistics, and you could sort by players and modes, and it's crazy. They've got everything in here. It's a lot of statistics and so much that you could really sink your teeth into.
Okay, and also for those watching, I think the room got reset. There's probably maybe an internet issue or something, so we are just kind of waiting here just for a moment to get back into the action to be able to see that game 3 that we were talking about, Clan Blitz. So just hold tight. We will be back into the game shortly. Oh, and look at all these stats. This is
incredible.
awesome.
There it is. Yes, the incredible dashboard. We've seen, like, if you look at the team compositions just on both sides, infrequently it seems like Surging Sea has a octo shot for the for a shooter and strikes, whereas like they have a very, very consistent comp, the same 4 or 5 weapons every time, whereas like the only thing that seems to be consistent on Golden Barracudas is that NZAP. They've got a variety of stuff. It seems like they've been splashing with like Zimmy, they do pencils sometimes. Yeah, they certainly have a lot of variety in their team compositions, and you know, having a 5-person team or even 6-person team certainly helps with that. You can kind of play the modes that individual players want to play and are more comfortable with, and you can see that reflected in both like I think like the win rates by mode, as well as like who they're substituting in all of the individual matches.
That's so cool. And that's always the good part of having multiple members on your team, or like you said, 5 or 6, and being able to switch players out depending on what map and mode has come up. Because sometimes, you know, there's that one weapon that will really help in particular on a map and mode versus a certain team. So being able to switch out and utilize having that player on the team instead. Teams that can make that work can totally make that work, and I think this is a good example of that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, here we go. After that lobby disconnect, we are hopping into it. Clan Blitz, Barnacle, and Dime. It is 1-1, best of 5. We are indeed going to see the octo shot coming out of Tapu Masu. That's going to be huge for enabling like that tent umbrella and roller to sneak through without being noticed, or just without having to worry about off angles. Big opportunity here. I feel like this is the map I think of when I think of Ziff, and Ziff is like the biggest tripling strikes proponent I've ever seen. So here we go, Golden Barracudas and Surging Sea facing off in the middle of the map. Neither team able to really create an opening just yet. That whale is going to create that first opening. The Decav able to find one pick, and Golden Barracudas is going to be able to leverage that in order to move forward onto the enemy stack and start their push. Still not able to gain too much space. There are a few specials ready on the side of Surging Sea. This Inkjet is going to be difficult, especially with the bubble out of the way. And no, it's actually the Decav moving in and finding a pick on the Inkjet user, the ballpoint. So Golden Barracuda is not going to have to contest with that, but still not being able to win the fight in the remainder of the map is going to stop their push and force them to, you know, just regather themselves in the middle of the map.
Yeah, that they had to really kind of back up and play together. And when they play like that, it just works out so good for them that they were able to. Oh no, there was a DC, unfortunately, as Golden Barracudas did score. So since this match just started, I'm sure we're gonna be able to reset this here, I think.
That's unfortunate. But still relatively neutral situation. You don't hate it. You don't hate to see it if you're surging C. That single clam is something you can, you don't hate to DC it. I don't know what I'm saying. It's 10 in the morning. I'm like figuring things out.
Us on the West Coast, we're still over here waking up.
You know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying. You're saying they only scored in the one power clam. It wasn't a huge push, so
Oh, we lost the fight and then the other team DC'd. Oh, what can you do?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Still plenty. If this round restarts, it's kind of still neutral game. Anything can happen.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes, I have a cat. I put this pillow here and it has been a big hit among the cats.
Aww.
I did see a little earlier a tail flip through the corner of your webcam.
Yeah. I saw that too. I was like, oh, there goes the cat. The cats, they're part of the commentary team, you know?
They're our biggest fans and supporters.
Absolutely. I know, I don't know what it is. My cat always... Oh, she came over here and yelled at me. She's always sitting...
Who are you talking to?
Yeah, right? Come on. Yep, there she is. The demon. She always sits right here when I'm commentating. And I use her as like emotional support.
We all need that.
Okay, for those watching, again, since there was that DC, we are just waiting in the lobby. It looks like they're probably trying to figure out what their internet issues are, maybe get a sub if needed. But we are still just kind of waiting, so not to fret. We will be moving on shortly here.
Do you recall which player it was? Was it? I'm just curious if it was someone that subbed in and maybe they subbed them out again. It seems to be the same 4 players as before. I think you shouldn't be able to change like team compositions after the game started, but you know, there's been times where you DC and you can never make it back.
Yeah,
this does not seem to be one of those times. We are hopping right back into it. Same deal, you know where we are. We are getting back into Clams and Barnacle. Let's see who's going to be able to win the opening push this time, because DCs do give you that like interesting like, oh, I know what my opponent's going to do at the start. Let's try and counter that in one way or another.
Yeah, that's always, as a player, I always am like, oh, okay, there was a DC. I know. Okay, now I need to watch, the right flank, maybe the left flank, maybe, because that's exactly where the other team went. Here, it's looking like Golden Barracudas is actually taking that upper hand, even though they also had the starting push. The last game, this one, they are really having the starting push. They are not hesitating. They are rushing forward. They knew exactly what angles they needed to take. They scored in, 2 power clams and some, so able to get a pretty strong start here right away.
Yeah, that's a huge opening from the Golden Barracudas. The 2 power claims is going to give them a pretty solid lead. I swear. It's going to give them a pretty solid lead going into just a minute into the game, and still locking Surging C into their side of the middle of the map is going to give Golden Barracudas some breathing room to work with. The Surging C still trying to clean up members of Golden Barracudas despite winning the fights they've encountered so far, and now things can get a little bit tricky. You have a bubble and you have a tent umbrella. That Zuka from Mikagat's going to be able to find one pick, looking for even more, moving towards that basket, able to get it in, but that seems like it's maybe it for now. Actually, going to clear off some space on the left, unfortunately dropping that ball in order to inkjet. They do find 2 picks. Actually, yes, that is going to allow the roller JP to find a pick as well as that power clam score. So Good choice on inkjetting there as they're getting rushed down, not able to get the power climb to the basket on their own, but able to do it with the support of a teammate and a special. Good awareness. Surging C comes back, surges into that lead, and Golden Barracudas is going to have to answer back.
That was such a good play. I mean, that might have been one of those moments where I panicked and like went back into mid and was like, oh, two of my teammates are down. Maybe I need to go wait for them. But those two played together really nicely, and actually they risked it to get the biscuit. I mean, they used that inkjet like you said. We're able to get two, and then JP just did exactly what JP has been doing continuously throughout the set that we've been watching, able to sneak around and do things with that roller. Looks like right now JP is doing exactly that, able to flank around behind Golden Barracudas. Doesn't quite get any picks, but does act as a distraction, at least allowing their teammates to come back in and get in positions in order to defend, as Golden Barracudas is slowly inching towards the basket here, trying to get some picks so they can get a push going again.
I don't know, that interaction with the roller and the rapid pro was just kind of funny because JP got the weak spot of the roller, but the ink mine just finished it off. And the roller just kept moving forward. But Surging C, despite that, not able to convert into a big push. Instead, they are going to be actually pushed back into their pit. The ballpoint is going to inkjet, but actually, the inkjet getting inside the bubble, finding a pick, that's going to be huge as only one power climb is going to make its way to the basket. Golden Barracudas is going to be able to get back the lead there, but not able to get it all the way down to 21 because of that. So Surging C keeping themselves in the game because of that play. That's huge, and now they're going to answer back very quickly, rebounding. Only two members of Golden Barracudas up. The strikes come in. There's other specials at the ready. Two power claims making their way to the basket behind the shield. Lead for Surging C, and now only one member left alive. That's the Tentabrilla with the Inkzuka, challenging that Rapid Pro, actually dropping on it. They try and get the power claim. That's two picks, looking for a third, trying to find it. The decaf shuts them down. Surging C, huge lead, going to be able to find a few extra picks, and yes, that extra time is going to enable Surging C to maintain control of mid. Big plays coming out. 40 seconds left. Now Golden Barracudas really needs a big answer.
I feel like you were highlighting a bit how you think Tenebrella is really good on this map, and that swish just showed us exactly why it's good there. You can just use that shield under the basket, make things happen that way, and if you're the other team trying to drop in and stop them, I mean, you got to be careful and figure out how you want to play against a Tenebrella shield, because I mean, man, the Tenebrella players, they know what to do and how they want to make things happen. So we're going into the last 10 seconds of this. Right now, Golden Barracudas knows that they need to get in positions to get the lead, and if you're Surging C's, you just kind of got to sit back here, play patiently, let them come to you. We're seeing Konamic here using this inkjet, tries to get some picks, but is called out here. So as Golden Barracudas is just trying to do everything they can to get into the basket, they are slowly inching their way there. They don't have their power climb. Okay, able to go back and get it, but it's just kind of, you know, a scrappy battle as they try to get towards the basket. They were slowly inching towards it, but not quite able to get there. So Surging C here taking this game 3, and right now being the team on the leaderboard.
Yeah, absolutely. And great stuff from Surging C. You know, we saw like those big plays, able to take back the lead, and the disruptive effect that they were able to have. I think the roller was, of course, playing a lot of making a lot of big plays. I think the strikes coming out from Tapumasu really enabled Surging C to get their players into position and just get super aggressive plays going. I think like the defensive plays from the inkjet, from the ballpoint, were massive. We saw like twice that payoff with as they're getting pushed, Surging C just able to hang on very well and punish Golden Barracudas for panicking in a couple moments. Like this opportunity here, this was a big stop. 2 power claims went to the basket for Golden Barracudas. They didn't lose their cool and were able to stop it before the lead got out of hand, and just slow and steady wins the race, able to move in behind that tent shield. Tent is like, it's like the immortal snail. or it's like the bulldozer in Austin Powers. It's just going to walk at you. But you know, sure as the sun's gonna rise in the morning, it's coming.
I like that analogy. That is so funny because that's exactly what it was. I mean, we really saw that, especially there in that game. I mean, playing slow worked out very well for them. I think too, them Surging Seas coming out with that Octo Shot actually helped them a lot because they were able to just have a little more paint on the ground, and being able to utilize that enabled the roller and the Tenebrella just to be able to move around more in general. So I think that was a really good play for them too.
Yeah, it's definitely a very useful thing. I think both roller and tent could really use some support, either in terms of paint or in terms of just good ways to get in, because when all the attention is, when that's like the main way you're intending to like push into the map, it can be fairly telegraphed and obvious, I guess. So just being able to force enemies to move, to disrupt them in some capacity, very important. And that's exactly what they did with their team composition adjustment there.
Absolutely. I'm very curious if it'll continue to come out in these upcoming games. However, looks like our counter pick is in. We are going to be headed to Rainmaker Manta Maria, I believe that was. Yeah, very interesting counter pick coming out from Golden Barracudas. I was going to say the Octo Shot has been working out good for Surging Seas, but I feel like Manta Maria is such a good Tri-Slosher map, so I could totally see that coming back. But regardless, either one will be a very helpful weapon for them. On the other side, Golden Barracudas, with their continuous weapon switch-ups, switching over to Rainmaker. Very curious what they're going to be bringing to the table for this one.
Yeah, I'm interested as well. I think they've been bringing like a variety of things, but I feel like Rainmaker Manta is just such a weird map. I feel like both Tower and Rainmaker here, a lot of the fights just happen in that tiny little narrow passageway between, like, well, right where the first checkpoint is. Where the checkpoint is on Rainmaker. So things that fight super well at close range, like blasters, can be very good. Not Rapid Pro Deco, but that's a different story. Tent is good. Roller is good there. There's definitely, like, Tri-Slosher is great there. It's very interesting. This is another map that can get out of hand a little bit quickly, because you can get kind of high ground above the enemy spawn if you're able to take a really clean fight into that first checkpoint. So really, this game's going to come down to how these teams are able to fight around that first check. Let's get into it.
All right, looking at the comps coming out from each team. Okay, we see some notable weapon switch-ups on the side of Surging Seas. They're sticking with that Octo Shot, and actually no anchor player this time for them, having a Tri-Slosher and the Octo Shot paired this time with the Roller and the Tenebrella on the other side. Golden Barracudas actually bringing out a Carbon Roller. That Forge is coming back, Tenatech being on board, and of course their NZAP is there as well.
Ooh, yes, that Carbon Roll already paying dividends. McDonald's lover moving around the right side, finding 2 picks. Going to help Golden Barracudas win this fight at the start, but the Tenebrella answering back, finding 2 as well. Surging Sea seems to be in control at the start here, and if the Tent's able to find Azuka down this alley, that could be absolutely huge, but Surging Sea taking their time. They don't have a good way to the checkpoint yet with that Rainmaker. They do finally pop that bubble, but the strikes are going to come out to answer it. Another reason why strikes are very useful. And here comes the Roller, but here comes the Rainmaker, but here comes the Roller as well. Another 2 picks. McDonald lover finding those answers, and yet again, it's Mikugyat on the Tenebrella answering back with 2 more of their own. And Yeah, here comes the roller moving forward. The Rainmaker moving in behind him. If they're able to pop the bubble, this could be huge points on the board. Here comes the Rainmaker dropping. It's already towards that checkpoint. They're going to run it down to the end. The bubble gets popped at like the 10-yard line. And now the Rainmaker pops again. This could be curtains. Surging C going to grab that Rainmaker. Actually, Golden Barracudas takes it, but backs up. Surging C looking to answer it, and they are able to dunk it, answering back with 3 straight wins. Surging C wins the set 3-1.
That was a really, really dominant game from Surging C in particular. Man, it seems like once Miku Gyat, aka Swisher, gets set up, it can be so, especially that game, so deadly. I mean, they were able to set up, have the Zukas at the ready, and then just the momentum with their teammates following that played out very, very good for them. So very, very good job from Surging C. Yep, there's that Zuka that got set up there on the top left, GP getting jump-ins from their teammates, and then the rest of the team just kind of following and utilizing that momentum that got started there.
Yeah, just look at where that 10th umbrella was able to get. Swisher able to get up onto the grates and start locking members of Golden Barracudas into their spawn. Just that positioning alone makes it so hard to do anything. If you try and move forward or drop into the pit, you kind of just become food for that roller, and that's what happened there. The bubble came out, not able to secure the knockout on its own, but it's so hard to get in and defend the goal line there when you have someone threatening to literally get up to your spawn bubble. So huge stuff. That's going to be a victory for University of North Carolina Greensboro. They are going to be moving on to round 2 into the not top 4 but top I believe 6. I think that's how double elimination works. Where they're going to be facing the Towson Tigerfish, that first seed. Interestingly, that T3 match, That's Dangerous and EaUCD Splatoon White are facing off in a 2-2 situation. So huge match coming off 2 and 7 seeds, fighting very evenly. So that's something to keep an eye on. I believe we will be casting the winner of that set versus Octos and Squids United.
Man, that's, if you're the 7th seed going 2-2 against the 2nd seed, that's gonna feel pretty good. They must be on their game this morning. So we'll see what ends up happening there as we are waiting for that game 5 to finish up. Man, and with the weapons that we've been seeing already from both of the teams that we just watched, I always love when it's a little bit different and it's not necessarily what the main meta is. It's always fun to watch and see how teams are playing these different weapons. Like we got to see so many different weapons in that first set. I mean, Dread, we saw a Carbon Roller, we saw a normal roller, we saw Rapid. Fun stuff to witness and see how they're played.
Yeah, absolutely. So the team we're going to be seeing next for sure, Octos and Squids United, they seem to be rocking a blaster. They have that pencil anchor as well most of the time, it seems. They have a very solid win rate on all the modes. Clam Blitz does seem to be their lowest, but still at 63%, nothing to sneeze at or anything like that. They have 2 members on their team named Big Gay, or maybe it's the same person twice. So good for them. Good for them.
Good for them. We'll just be like saying Big Gay constantly because that's both of them.
Yes, indeed. We've been seeing a decent number of teams in CCA, particularly running NZAP as an anchor rather than Pencil. But seems like Octos and Squids United Scarlet has done a little bit of both. They've rocked Pencil sometimes when it seems like they're rocking Pencil when they have multiple mid lines. Yeah, when they have multiple mid lines rather than that NZAP. So, interestingly, that Forge Splattershot Pro also seems to be pretty common for Octos and Squids United. I've been kind of happy to see a lot of Splattershot Pro in like recent days, just because it got the accuracy buff. Mm-hmm. So it's able to kill a lot more reliably now, which is pretty nice because otherwise, because it definitely doesn't paint. It definitely doesn't paint well enough to justify like its existence on its own. And you know, there's kind of been a gap ever since Squeezer got nerfed in like terms of what weapon is like a shooter that fills that range, whether it's going to be like, I don't even have good answers for whether it's going to be this or that. I think just people haven't been running mid-range shooters since Squeezer got nerfed. People have been like opting for dualies and then a lot more like mid-line stuff. I guess Zimmy isn't a shooter, but it's been something that's gained popularity, I think, in part because of the like power vacuum of Squeezer getting nerfed, and now pros coming up to answer that as like a more splat focused aggressive option, and it's been working out pretty well. I know we've seen like Nolan play that a decent bit. It's cool to see.
Yeah, I bet Nolan's happy about that too, especially considering he loved that weapon in Splat 2, so getting to see that has got to feel good for him. Another weapon too that kind of is that mid-range shorter weapon that I haven't seen a lot recently is the 96 gal.
Yeah.
That one kind of disappeared too.
Yeah, it's interesting. It has definitely disappeared. I feel like people were using it to spam Kraken, and then spamming Kraken stopped being as effective. I'm not quite sure. I'm not exactly sure why that's the case, but I think that seems to be the reason why. Yeah, so we do have our match. It is going to be Octos and Squids United Scarlet versus EaUCD Splatoon White.
Oh, and they were the 7th seed, beating the 2nd seed there as we were waiting for that match to finish up, and they went all the way to game 5, but were able to beat the 2nd seed, so they must be cooking up something this morning.
Yeah, seems like they are. They're actually, interestingly, they are a Nautilus and Dualies team. That's very cool. Tetra Dualies pretty frequently. I haven't seen Tetra Dualies in a hot minute, as well as Nautilus. I miss a lot of the Nautilus anchor teams. I feel like it's like a cool archetype where you don't have, you may not have an anchor, but you do have like a really solid weapon. It's kind of been replaced, I think, by Heavy Edit because that has the cooler. But nonetheless, it's definitely something that EaUCD has had some success with. Their win rate's not quite as impressive as Octos and Squids United Scarlet, but they both made it here all the way to the finals of the CCA Circuit. So props to them, and now they are in top 6 looking to make it to winners finals. Huge stuff from them.
Yeah, and it looks like they got in the lobby fast here, so we are going to be able to head straight into this very shortly. First map and mode that we see here is going to be Splat Zones on Umami. And yeah, remember, this is a best of 5 for those watching, best of 5 counter pick. So whoever loses this one will be able to counter pick the second map and mode that we do go into. So I always enjoy having Splat Zones as the first mode that we see, just because I feel like it's a good kind of neutral starting ground to really see what the teams are cooking up for that day in particular, and then from there you get to kind of see how it spirals throughout the rest of the set.
Yeah, definitely. Zones Umami, one of the few double zones maps that we see played competitively, and I think it's a pretty interesting dynamic where you can kind of take both sides. You can opt to fight for one zone. You can opt to fight for the other zone when like one team gathers too much. But really, the key point on Umami is top mid, because you can paint both zones from up there. It's a really big position. You typically see like maybe a backliner up there. You could see like a roller or a blaster, things that play pretty well off ledges. I think it may be a solid place for like a Nautilus. I don't know. A lot of weapons are good there as long as it has range or is able to hit around ledges pretty consistently. So that's something to keep an eye on as we go into this game. Both teams almost completely readied up. Yeah. Seems like we're going to be seeing a decav likely from EaUCD Splatoon White, as well as, yeah, decav's a pretty common option. Nautilus is, Tetra is as well. So we'll keep an eye out for that as we go in here. Let's get started. It is top 6 in CCA Division 2 finals.
Okay, looks like we are immediately seeing so many of the weapons that we talked about before this. So taking a look at these comps, EaUCD is actually coming out with that pencil, the mini Splatling, the Forge we talked about, Blaster as well, and then on the other side for okay, so that was Octosquids, and then so EaUCD is actually the team who has the Nautilus, the decav, a pencil, and a shot.
Yes, it is. Yes, EaUCD. Yes, EaUCD in the blue is going to be a little bit locked in spawn here at the start. Actually, the Nautilus being taken out, that's going to be huge. Going to cause a bit of a delay of EaUCD to come back and take that zone here. So it seems like Octos and Squids United are in a very nice spot. Sitting up on top mid is that pencil, as well as the as well as the custom blaster, able to defend it very well. Hard to, push uphill against the blaster, and, being kind of outranged minus the pencil on the other side is going to make it difficult for them to get in, especially when you have that bubble just sitting there waiting for you to move in. The strikes are going to answer that bubble as EaUCD is going to begin moving in. On that right side, the splashdown comes out, not able to find anything. The decav comes up empty as well. EaUCD taking it very slow, not able to make too much ground up, and the Nautilus Pamper is able to find 2, actually 3. This is a big opportunity. EaUCD may be able to neutralize the zones here as they take top mid and look to get their first cap of the game.
Yeah, finally able to get that cap at least and give penalty points over to Octos and Squids. Octos and Squids here, Zoe, as we saw from their point of view, jumping back, getting ready to reposition with their teammates. I do like the jump back. It's always good to just kind of go back, regroup, make sure you don't waste your specials, and that way you can get a solid push going in. That's exactly what we're seeing here now as 2 members go down of EaUCD, and the zone has flipped here right away from Octos and Squid. That regroup that they did played out very, very nicely for them. Now, even though they recapped the zone, they're kind of struggling here to get back in. Able to get at least to top mid and playing very carefully. They got to be careful. Wishy-washy over here on the top right with that pencil is just poking at them in mid. So they got to play this careful if they want to try and hold mid. But with their pencil going down, Octos and Squids once again getting in position to regroup and try and get another push in.
Yeah, Octos and Squids United now on the back foot for pretty much the first time this game. And yeah, actually getting caught out multiple times. The decav now in spawn. It's such a difficult weapon to deal with. Foppy, nice job, able to chase down the last member of Octos and Squid and really start the timer ticking. Now you have the shot sitting up on the dome in a very nice position. They look like they're getting ready to strike, but they are going to be forced out by the members of Octos and Squids United, going to drop back into mid. And now the decav comes in, not able to get picked off. That's going to be a bubble popped on the enemy spawn. The booyah comes out, not able to get anything out of it. It gets shredded. EaUCD able to win the fight and start the lockout. This looks like it could be the end of the game. EaUCD looking to put it away as they lock members of Octos and Squids into spawn. The bubble comes out, but it's just one member and it's just the blaster. That's gonna be it for game 1. EaUCD comes from behind, wins game 1.
Wow, that took a total flip right in the middle of that. All of a sudden, EaUCD, they must have turned their on switch on because, man, it was looking like, Octos and Squids United really had the upper hand initially, and they were consistently holding the zone and getting points on the board for themselves. But, man, EaUCD, all of a sudden, I'm interested what you think, Fusion, what the turning point was, because once that happened for them, they just had that game.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of just the king of the hill. As soon as they got top mid and were able to start chasing down members of Octos and Squids United Scarlet, they were able to really just pick them off one by one. I think the main difference was just that the way they were able to stagger Octos and Squids as they moved into spawn. We saw members of EaUCD, when they were locked into spawn, they were able to find the pick that they needed to stop things from snowballing. They didn't get caught up or caught off guard as they were trying to get back into mid and, you know, turn a disadvantaged fight into a one fight by, you know, getting multiple picks of their own. They were just a little bit too far up, ended up getting picked off. EaUCD didn't make that same mistake, and so they were able to punish Octos and Squids United as well.
They utilized the momentum that they got very, very nicely, I think. So
Yeah.
now with Octos and Squids United having the counter pick here, we're gonna have to see what they want to do moving forward. It kind of went by so fast that it's almost like, okay, what if I was them? I'm trying to think about what I would want to counter pick, but it just kind of happened so fast that I might want to pick something we're a little bit more comfortable on. But I mean, yeah, you think about trying to counter the other team, they played so fast, and once they got the lead, it just ended up KOing really, really quickly.
Yeah, I don't have too much to say other than they got caught a little bit off guard. Octos and Squids United Scarlet, they were just a little bit like too far up, and that one mistake can really get you punished on, I think, Umami in particular, especially. I'm not gonna lie, decav is one of the most snowbally weapons in the entire game, especially when you have that bubble. Having a weapon that's super good at pushing that also has bubble is absolutely massive. If you're able to do that, you can take one pick, pop a bubble, and start basically turning enemy territory into your territory, so you don't have to fight from a disadvantage, like it's even when you're on like the enemy plat. So that's exactly what happened. EaUCD really able to take advantage of playing aggressively, catch Octos and Squids United off guard, and come out on top of that game. But again, that game seemed very even, and it could go either way until the one stagger happened. So we'll see exactly how that goes. As we move to a different mode, it's going to be Rainmaker on Humpback Pump Track, it seems. Definitely a lot more of a mobile mode, and one of the teams, I believe, was running that Nautilus. That was EaUCD, was running Nautilus and Pencil, a very like immobile sort of team composition. So I'm curious if they're going to change things up here at all.
Good point to bring up. Those weapons are a little bit more, stally and guarding areas, and can play that way with their range and the way that the weapons shoot and play. So yeah, this is a map and mode where you want to be moving around really fast and have that mobility and be able to play off of that. So I'm curious too if we're gonna see those two weapons come back out. And then I was thinking about too how you mentioned the decav, and just that'll really come into play here and be really, really helpful since it's such a mobile weapon. And just I'm thinking about the amount of times that I've played against Pika, and just all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I got this 1v1, and then all of a sudden the bubble comes out and I'm like, okay, it's GG.
Over.
Yeah. So I have a feeling that's going to come into play here and be played as well, and being able to be utilized.
Big stretch
Sorry. Over there. I saw that. She looks like she's just part of your now, like she's just a little pillow over there. You can't even tell it's a cat.
Little
now.
orb.
Yeah. Oh.
Sorry, I woke the orb up. But yeah, Humpback Pump Track, definitely going to be good for blasters or buckets. Similar sort of weapons. Decav going to be very solid as well. Neither team seems to be running a sort of inkjet weapon, but that's always a very solid option here. I feel like neither of these teams' compositions are super duper well suited to Humpback Pump Track, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, there are going to be adjustments. Both teams have a well string.
What the?
that makes sense, and also how?
Yeah, it's like looking at it, okay, it makes sense, but what? I think the fact that they both picked it, I think is...
Yeah,
I wasn't
exactly.
expecting that.
Yeah, like, I get it. It's a good weapon here. I wasn't familiar with your game, you know?
Yeah. Handshake, I was not familiar with your game. Okay, so taking a look at this, initially, Octosquids United is in control of the Rainmaker. They're actually continuing to take down members of EaUCD and playing this kind of carefully, making sure that the right elbow here is cleared before they do dunk the Rainmaker and get through that checkpoint. So able to clear that, and now they're just trying to kind of wait here for specials to get online, maybe hold some space before that happens. There goes the Kraken coming out, so this is actually going to enable them to push forward, play through that, get picks, and get even more points.
Yeah, one member of EaUCD was sharking in the rail, so that is going to stop this from turning into a knockout immediately. Big Gay making their way to the to the goal. Not able to get it all the way, but the score does go down all the way to 5. Nice job from Octos and Squids United. They were able to really just play patiently and turn that into a huge play for them. They were able to kind of just pick off members of Octos and Squids United who were trying to stop them, of EaUCD, who were trying to stop them before they got to that checkpoint, and that's a big thing on this map. If you try and play too aggressively around that corner, you can get punished both as the defending team and as the aggressive team. So things can get really stally around that corner. And EaUCD, despite getting knocked all the way down to 5 points, they look very strong so far on this push. They are going to get that checkpoint back. The Kraken does come in to slow things down, but that's a big checkpoint out of the way, and they're gearing up to get another big push of their own as soon as they are able to, or as soon as they get that Rainmaker again.
Yeah, you got to feel good if you're EaUCD at least able to get to the checkpoint. I mean, right now, even though Octos and Squids United has the Rainmaker, they're in control of mid. At least I would feel good if I was EaUCD, just knowing I at least got the checkpoint from there. If you can make things happen in these last 2 minutes, it'll be much easier. So right now, Octos and Squids United having Okamu here, holding the Rainmaker and just stalling this out. They know they essentially have a knockout if they got their score all the way, since they got their score all the way down to 5. So they know that they don't need to push the Rainmaker too far. The longer that they hold the Rainmaker, the more of a disadvantage that's going to be for EaUCD, because they are the team that needs the Rainmaker. So just stalling this out, I think, is good. Just getting it away from their side of the map, just playing really patient like that is enabling them to have more time on the board to keep themselves safe.
Yeah, absolutely. Rainmaker can get a little bit stally. You kind of take the lead and just hold it for as long as you can. Octos and Squids United doing a good job ending up going down in enemy territory, able to stay multiple members up. They are going to be able to defend that checkpoint, and something worth keeping in mind is that custom range blaster with that Kraken provides an almost surefire way to stop the Rainmaker so if it comes down to it. So EaUCD may try all they might to get the Rainmaker all the way to the pedestal into enemy territory, but as long as that Kraken is up on Octos and Squids United, they are going to have a really hard time getting it all the way down to 5. So we'll see what they're able to do as we just have a minute left. They're going to have to make some big plays if they want to come out on top of this game. And man, the stally weapons on the side of Octos and Squids United Scarlet are making it very difficult.
They are. They know that they can just sit back here and keep poking at this left elbow area and even into mid, as well as they know that the members of EaUCD are grouped up into mid. So just being able to sit back and poke at them is just enabling Octos and Squids to have the defense that they need to not let EaUCD have anything happen. So EaUCD right now, they're using this bubble here in the right elbow, trying to get set up in a position to have a push going. Jim grabs the Rainmaker on that end tap and slowly starts pushing it forward. They do have to be careful though, because all this chip damage around them is making it difficult for them to move forward though, with 2 members down on the side of EaUCD. Pampers grabs the Rainmaker. We are headed into overtime as they are able to get jump-ins from their teammate. There goes the hammer coming out, and with Pampers holding the Rainmaker here, they had to back up a little bit, maybe get some jump-ins. There's a Kraken that drops down. Pampers avoids the Kraken, weaves left and right, and did such a good job at trying to stay alive around the Kraken, but the Kraken unfortunately came down and was able to get that pick on the Rainmaker. So Octos and Squids United taking that game and tying up the score 1-1 versus EaUCD.
Yeah, good stuff. Just getting that early lead is so huge on a Rainmaker, especially if you're able to really get it down all the way low. You can afford playing defense farther back. You don't need to panic and worry about that first checkpoint as much. We saw Octos and Squids United really just kind of banked on like the they banked on the Wellstring. Took me a second to say the weapon's name or in my head. As well as having that Kraken, just good ways to stop the Rainmaker in a pinch, ways to just slow down the enemy push, and it all worked out for them in the end, just because they're able to play so defensively and far back after a very nice push so early in the game. So, yeah, they're going to tie this up, and it seems like we have another great set on our hands.
Totally. Looks like the counter picking might have come into play here, and they knew exactly what they wanted to play and how they wanted to play it. And at the end too, I could picture Octos and Squids here as they were on defense, just having the call out, "Hey, I have Kraken ready. Hold on, you guys. Don't worry. Just don't worry, I got this." And that's exactly what Zoe did there, able to drop down with that Kraken. And not only, even if they wouldn't have got the pick on the Rainmaker, it at least kind of stalled out some time for their teammates to be able to regroup around the Kraken as well. So eventually just able to utilize that Kraken very nicely at the end, play off of that. And yeah, good on them, absolutely.
Yeah, Stingray's still lives on in spiritual form.
Yes.
I think that's a gripe a lot of people have with Rainmaker, is that there's so many surefire ways to clear the Rainmaker, or at least like to kill one particular push, that it kind of like makes overtime non-existent a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But you know, there's certainly a lot of ways to come back earlier in the game, and you know, try and you gotta make your attacks focused on like team wipes, getting the big pick you need like on a backliner or on like the Kraken user, rather than just like the old bread and butter, the old like triple link strike reef slider zone.
Yes, totally. You know, sometimes it's just like, okay, I'm just gonna throw bombs, wait. But yeah, sometimes it's good just to make sure you recognize, oh, this person's gonna have the Zuka that can totally stop this, or this person's gonna have the Kraken that can totally stop this. And a lot of times, even myself, if I'm playing and I need to have that type of game sense, sometimes I need someone to call that out, be like, oh wait, I need to focus this player because they're gonna have this game stopping special. So just all types of awareness, that's really, really important. And actually, speaking of Rainmaker, we're headed back into Rainmaker as the counter pick. So going back to Rainmaker Manta Maria, which we saw on the previous set we were watching here on stream, I have not seen Rainmaker Manta Maria in quite some time, and now this morning we're seeing it twice already.
Yo, we're building little structures. Let's go, Jim. We've got the Dreadringer D, which I don't think I've seen in a competitive match, or I don't think I've commentated a Dreadringer D before, so that's very cool. So we also have the Octobrush. Octobrush, I think, very super crazy legit weapon. Going to do a lot of damage in the streets there. Foppy just kind of sharking, trying to wait for an opportunity to move in, but they get caught off guard. I believe that was by... I don't even know which. It must have been the Range Blaster. Zoe able to find a couple picks there, looking for even more. The Nautilus challenging them, not able to get it though, and they're going to get forced out. So now, looking very strong at the start here with this first checkpoint are Octos and Squids United. Scarlet Now, the Rainmaker just stalling in this position. They find 2 picks. That Octobrush sharking. They dive in for the Rainmaker and opt to back up, and now they're getting challenged and, oops.
Yeah, I don't think that was supposed to happen. Oh, they tried to jump, and unfortunately, it ended up being a fall there. So at least the Rainmaker is still here on this right side for EaUCD to be able to pop, have it reset. There's some time now for mid to be painted. So right now the mid though is very, very what is this, orange yellowy color from Octos and Squids. So they're able to actually come right back into mid, get back in the action. The Rainmaker has reset. And with one member going down actually on EaUCD, this might be a continuing push coming out from Octos and Squid Scarlet.
Yeah, continuing to provide pressure forward, and they are able to get back that Rainmaker as well. The Zipcaster comes in, but not too many places to zip off of, but thankfully the Rainmaker up against a wall, able to find a pick. That's going to be nice, installing some momentum. But the rest of Octos and Squids United still up, still ready to fight. So Octos and Squids United still maintaining a lot of pressure here in the middle of the map. 2 members on EaUCD are down. Pampers going to set up a splashdown in a very good position, able to find 1 pick out of it. Not as much as it seems like they were expecting. TJ Buddy able to survive just barely. And Octos and Squids United still maintaining control. They're just going to be able to grab that Rainmaker, stall it on high ground, and, just wait for an opportunity to get those extra points on the board. Now, Akamu with that Rainmaker. Are they going to opt for a jump again this time? It seems like no, they're just going to run right for the pedestal, and they get it all the way down to 6 yet again. Rainmaker seems to be their mode. Octos and Squids United Scarlet, great job getting it all the way down to 6. Now they have an opportunity to play defense with only 2 minutes remaining in the game. It's already gone by so quickly.
It is. I mean, and just the continuous pressure coming out from Octos and Squids, they are just keeping this pressure on the board, making it so difficult for EaUCD to even really get into mid and make anything happen. It's like right now, once EaUCD finally gets into mid and starts taking some space, getting some paint on the map, all of a sudden they have a member go down, and then it just kind of keeps spiraling from there, and they aren't quite able to make anything happen. So Octos and Squid United recognizing that and just playing really, really fast off of these picks that they're able to keep getting. And the longer that they keep the Rainmaker over here on EaUCD's side of the map, the more difficult it is for EaUCD to even get into mid, because they have to worry about guarding the Rainmaker and not letting Octos and Squids come through and grab this.
Yeah, and yet, sorry, EaUCD has yet to touch the Rainmaker in this game. 1 minute left. It seems like it is going to be their first opportunity here. Moving up into the enemy bunker, they're going to clear it out, or attempt to clear it out, but the brush does end up going down to Big Gay on that zap. That's going to be a very nice pick, prevent something like a Zipcaster over the wall from creating space. So already some big plays coming out. EaUCD is going to be able to grab that Rainmaker and start moving forward. This Blaster in a very nice position, though. Oh my goodness, that splashdown, disgusting! Over the wall, finding 2 picks, 3 picks. It's just the Wellstring on the left. It's a full wipeout. This game is not over yet.
It's not. Wishy-Washy grabs the Rainmaker, led by their teammates. Jim is painting that Rainmaker pedestal for Wishy-Washy. Wishy-Washy able to get that all the way down to 1 point at the last possible second here. What a counter push. They did not have the upper hand throughout this entire match, and then just like that, they had the opening that they needed and were able to push that Rainmaker all the way down to 1 point. So now Octos and Squids United has such a big path ahead of them. If they want to switch this lead, they have to get all the way to the other side of the map.
Yeah, huge play in overtime. Now the brush is going to run at that Rainmaker. There's so much. Let's kill this guy. Let's beat him to death with hammers.
Wow.
Jumping in and finishing off this game. EaUCD bringing it back from the brink of defeat. That splashdown absolutely huge. In Splatoon 2, a splashdown not so scary. You could shoot it down. This game very scary. You can it's off in front of you and to the side of you, so you can do it over walls. And this map is definitely a great spot for EaUCD to really pull off that splashdown, and it paid off in dividends here. EaUCD just able to leverage that in order to win. EaUCD able. Oh my. Bleh. EaUCD able to leverage that, and that's the Wellstring with the. No, it's the Nautilus with the splashdown. The Wellstring is the one that has the hammer. But yeah, Nautilus with the splashdown, typically used as more of a defensive tool, but very good offensive tool in this case. And that's really, I guess, a lesson in why like one team wipe is so massive. When you have such a huge lead, you've got to think of like where enemies can attack from, especially when enemies can like break the rules with their weapons. Like Zipcaster could go over a wall, Splashdown can go over a wall. You can just attack from so many different angles, and Octos and Squids United Scarlet was not ready for the splashdown over the wall. And you know, you don't typically see Manta Maria Rainmaker all that much. We've seen it twice today, but that was just a huge play that surprised me, probably surprised you, and definitely surprised Octos and Squids United.
And poor, I think that was Zoe there with the blaster, tried to. I saw the vision, was like, oh, I'm getting splashed down. Hold on, let me crack in, because this can, I can stay alive with this. But just the frames at the last possible second just weren't quite it, and that ended in that complete wipe. And they very good on them to take the opening that they were able to create, because they were having such a hard time throughout that entire match, even getting into mid. And like you were saying at the end there, they hadn't even grabbed the Rainmaker at all. And it seemed like they probably weren't going to. And then once they did, able to make things happen, the super clutch splashdown came into play, enabled them to get a complete wipe. And then, man, getting that score all the way down to 1, I think that was really a good highlight of showing how snowbally Manta Maria in general can be. Whether I think it's typically if it's Rainmaker or tower control on that map, it can just be so snowbally, and that showed that perfectly and highlighted that.
Yeah, huge explosive play coming out from EaUCD. Now just one game away from making it to winners finals. Octos and Squids United, after winning that second game, game 3 not going quite how they were hoping, they're going to opt to move us back to Splat Zones on Mako Mart. We're back, like the map we've seen the most in competitive for certain. So we'll see what they're going to be able to pull out here, because we've seen some interesting picks, especially the Wellstring coming out from both teams. Nautilus has been something that's been coming out from UC Davis more frequently, or in the last few games. I think we may see it again here with that with that rain being pretty solid on zones as well. I'm more interested to see how Octos and Squids United is going to adapt for. Oh my god! I swear, the moment I start talking is like the moment, like my gut is like, here, it's time to burp. Excuse me.
Your gut is saying, "Oh well, you're already talking here. Let me just add to. Let me just make this bad for you. It's okay. It'd be like that.
Here we go. Game 4 of this situation. We have an E-leader coming out from Octos and Squids United. Blasters on both sides. It's going to be custom on one side and vanilla on the other. We have strikes coming out as well from EaUCD. So we'll see if Octos and Squids United is going to be able to answer back. Already a huge pick either off the blaster or the E-leader there. Either way, huge advantage for Octos and Squids United here at the start. Seems like they are going to get that first cap.
Getting that first cap. They do have a member down right now, but they are able to take down the pencil on the side of EaUCD. So right now looking really scrappy here in the beginning, as each team is trying to really get the upper hand, get set up in the positions that they want to be in. The zone has now flipped over to EaUCD's side, and you can see they're trying to focus this right now, from our point of view, the left ramp here and just try and poke at it and try and take the space that they need in order to keep holding the zone. They do have the lead, and they are making sure that they're getting set up on this left side. Really nice bubble coming out from Foppy. That's going to help enable them to hold space and make it more difficult for the other team to come back in. But Octos and Squids has that cooler ready. They have that Booyah Bomb come in as well, and they are trying to utilize that to come in and get the zone.
Yeah, Wishy-Washy on the pencil, not able to find the picks, able to hit a couple taps, but not no chip damage to help finish the job. So it is going to be Octos and Squids United grabbing back that zone. Nice pick there on Pampers on that top right, as the timer is going to begin ticking. Octos and Squids United likely to take the zone here. The strikes come out. Man, the Forge Pro able to survive. That is going to be the lead coming out. The bubble with the blaster, you cannot challenge that, especially here on Mako Mart. Foppy able to find one nice pick, looking for even more, able to find a second one, looking to try and get their team back into the zone here. Now they're marked. They're going to be in a bit of a difficult position. The splashdown is going to make things difficult, but they're able to survive. Octos and Squids United still in control of this game. The rest of EaUCD not looking so hot. Time is ticking down. 8 seconds left. EaUCD has no way to get into the zone. Octos and Squids United just takes a very, very clean game 4, and we're going to that final game, game 5, to determine who makes winners finals.
Okay, so this time it is going to be EaUCD's turn to counterpick, and a lot of times you almost get happy that you're that 5th counter pick on that game 5, because then you get to really pick something that you want to play, and then if it's the other team counter picking, it might be something that all of a sudden you see it and you're like, oh, it's this map, it's this mode, like we're not very good at this. So being that 5th game counter pick can totally come and into play and be really, really helpful.
Yeah, definitely. And I can't recall which form of counter picks they're using, but I believe that EaUCD is unable to pick Rainmaker here at the very least, and that seems like they've had some success with that. I'm not sure if they're avoiding tower control, but both teams rocking blasters here seem to be, I think, in decent position. Either way, EaUCD has certainly they've had very explosive moments, but I think they seem like more of like they need the time in order to get the big plays. So they need to be careful to like pick a mode where they can afford to make mistakes and then make the big plays. I think that something like tower control could work out for them. Yeah, unsure exactly what they favor in terms of modes, but EaUCD has a their highest win rate is on Clam Blitz with 59%. So EaUCD, again, significantly lower win rates than Octos and Squids United Scarlet, but nonetheless, they've done super well so far in this set as well as the entire event. We'll see if we're going to be given a Clam Blitz counter pick here.
Yes, and then I was also thinking about too, Octos and Squids coming out with that E-leader that last round. I was not expecting that, and sometimes, I don't know, if you're against a team that kind of switches up their comp consistently, it almost kind of catches you off guard because you start getting ready to play this team on these weapons that they've been playing, and then you get comfortable with it and figure out what you need to do to counter. But then all of a sudden an E-leader comes out and it's like, oh wait, we're not used to figuring out how to play around them when they have this E-leader based comp. So sometimes, for me at least, it can catch me off guard and I have to kind of rethink how I'm playing on the fly.
Yeah, it can be very difficult when the team's like when they switch up the weapons they're playing midway through the set, but it's also difficult on the team that switches their team composition because they're going to have to change their dynamic for sure, especially like the pace they play at. Like, you can't expect the same kind of support from an E-leader the way you would like a Pencil or Nautilus or Edit, something to that effect. E-leader is definitely more of like we just need to survive to give them opportunities and maybe use displacement specials to give them space. Either way, we are moving to clams on Scorch Gorge. I think a particularly not E-liter favorable map, at least. I think the giant post in the middle of mid makes it a little bit difficult for E-liter to have as much success. Clamblets as well, going to need to keep active, be mobile, and get to that enemy basket, get these clams in as quickly as you can. We are indeed going to see Okamu over on the pencil, and the Tetra Dualies coming out for the first time this set. Huge weapon pick here could help you get over the grates and get a big flank onto the enemy team. We'll see if EaUCD is able to do that here.
EaUCD probably wanting to play very fast pace if they're bringing out that Tetra, so it can absolutely come into play and be good to play fast like that, be good to scramble the other team when you're trying to get a push going, or if you're trying to hold space. So right now, both of the teams trying to get into mid, trying to get control of this mid tower, and initially here, Octos and Squids United able to take mid. I liked the bubble up top that was helping them hold the space that they needed, get some picks around that as well. But the members of EaUCD, even though they went down, they're right back in the action and keeping this pressure in mid. So both teams are really just kind of pointing at each other and just trying to make something happen, initially just kind of juggling around this mid tower.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Range Blaster not able to find a pick, and that's going to allow EaUCD to storm in, get their first power clam of the game in the basket, as well as set up a bubble in a very aggressive position. That seems to be all the clams they have. Actually, a couple more spawning close to the basket. Very nice for EaUCD. They're trying to extend this lead here. They're going to get a few more clams in, but now the picks are falling in Octos and Squids United's favor. That's going to be the end of this first push, it seems. Foppy going in, trying to find something additional, not able to get it though. Octos and Squids United is going to lose the tie game there, now down 2 power clams, but I think it could be worse. 2 power clams, not the worst thing in the world. Kraken gonna chase a member on that right side. That is going to be the Tetra Dualies. Now, OSU in a very good spot here, sitting up on top mid. That's going to be the entirety of mid cleared out. OSU now has clams at the ready. They're going to try moving in on that right side with that Booyah Bomb. There's going to be a pencil on top mid. They still do not have a power clam at the ready, but they're in a very nice position if they're able to find a pick or two. That's going to be one. The decaf comes in, and a huge direct from that Range Blaster is going to open the gateway. The Range Blaster moves in right into the rain, and Pampers is going to shred them. Just rip them into pieces. Octos and Squids United push getting torn apart, just all kind of shepherded into the blender there as the push gets just smothered.
They definitely had the push set up, and it was looking really good for them, but just the chip damage of that rain paired with the Nautilus from Pampers really came into play, and it was a really good stally tactic as they were awaiting their teammates to come help them on defense, and that came very close for them. But now this might be the opening that Octos and Squids United needs, as there's essentially 3 members down on the side of EaUCD. What is that? 2 power clams and some clams at the ready if they're able to push forward and get this. But again, Pampers is there guarding the basket, and with wipe now actually happening onto Octos and Squids. They were only able to get the 1 power climb in, so close to getting that second one in, but not quite able to. Looks like some of the members were coolered up though from Octos and Squids, so they're going to be ready to play defense fast here as EaUCD is taking mid very quickly and trying to get set up for another push on their side.
Yeah, EaUCD did kind of take back mid pretty quickly, but not able to paint up enough to answer Octos and Squids United coming into mid here. The Kraken's going to chase a member onto top mid. Zoe finds a pick. So now Octos and Squids United has some clams online. They have a lot of space in mid. They are looking to just get some space so that they can get some clams on the board here. That's going to require them taking that right side, and pressure on the left is nice as well, but still all of the members of EaUCD up. Jim's going to be able to win a fight here. The decap drops in, is going to get answered very quickly. Jim finds yet another pick that's going to be huge, as EaUCD is going to just stop a lot of the momentum from OSU, and they are going to be able to maintain some control on mid as time ticks down. Only 35 seconds left on the clock. Octos and Squids United has a lot of clams online, but they need to really get a opportunity to push in here. It's all going to depend on this booyah. Here we go.
Okay, Zoe uses that crack, and they're able to take down members of EaUCD. This is exactly the opening that they need. They're able to score in that clam, and just like that, able to take the lead in these last 15 seconds. You can see that EaUCD is trying to get on their defense game here as fast as they possibly can. Zoe here guarding under the basket, trying to hold space, maybe trying to get ready to score in a clam there at the last possible second. But now as we head into overtime with Octos and Squids United getting that lead in the last, 5 seconds, it is now up to EaUCD to make something happen. It's looking like a very difficult path ahead of them, though, as mid is completely orange. Right now they're rushing. Nightbloom there did a good job at trying to get to the basket. They knew, okay, we just need to get to the basket to open this, but Octos and Squid United, Scarlet able to be on their defense game, put a stop to that, and do a great job at taking that game, winning this set 3-2 over EaUCD Splatoon.
Yeah, huge stuff coming in. Octos and Squids United, Scarlet able to come out on top. We saw them really just taking their time with their last push of the game. They were able to set up on top mid, get ready to go, and that Booyah Bomb finding one, clearing off a lot of space. The Kraken came in as well. There was just a lot of paint pressure on that right side. OSU going to be victorious and make their way to winners finals. Huge stuff from Octos and Squids United, keeping their composure all the way into game 5. Really great stuff from them. Yeah, huge plays. EaUCD did great though. I don't think that at least the stats would not suggest that EaUCD would be the team to win in this situation, but they certainly put up a very strong fight and have another chance in the bottom side of the bracket, which we'll be continuing to cast a little bit later. So Octos and Squids United is going to make their way in winners finals versus Surging C, who came off 3-0 on Taos and Tigerfish. So huge stuff. Surging C looking very strong since that set we casted.
Yeah, wow. These upsets in terms of the seeding is very interesting, as I was kind of analyzing this as it's in front of me. Surging C, of course, is the 5th seed, beating the number 1 seed, like you said, Taos and Tigerfish 3-0. What a dominating way to beat the first seed. They're looking good today. They definitely have some momentum built up, especially from what we saw in the set that you and I were able to cast versus Golden Barracudas.
Yeah, definitely. It felt like Surging C took a second to get their footing, but they certainly looked very strong. They looked very strong in second. In the games that they were able to be victorious in, they kind of ended up snowballing a lot of momentum here. Octos and Squids United, Scarlet, though, despite taking this all the way to game 5, they were super resilient, and they had to deal with a lot of, I think, variety in like team composition and weapons. Octos and Squids United were able to still push through and come out on top. So great stuff to them. Yeah. Very interesting. Which map will we be starting off on for winners finals?
Looks like Zones Mahi.
Resort. Ooh. How do you feel about this map?
This map, I actually kind of weirdly like it. I don't know why. Just something about it. I know that a lot of people don't like it, but I don't know why. I like it. How do you think about it? Or how do you
like
feel?
It as well. It's interesting. Mahi is so weird. It's so big and open-ish, but it's not like yeah, it's big and flat and open, and that is good for like pencil and stuff, but also there's a lot of like terrain and geometry and stuff that can let shorter range weapons do pretty well. But I think we've seen Bubble a lot here in recent memory. At least that's kind of what I remember. It feels like it's a pretty solid way to maintain some control, especially, you know, if you can get up onto enemy plat. Similar to Umami, I think, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I always find it interesting. It's like you kind of ideally for zones want to play a little bit safe and not go into the enemy side of the map, but I always like seeing the teams that do go over into the enemy side of the map, just seeing how they set up and how it ends up working for them. Because a lot of times you try and go over there and it doesn't work and members go down and then the other team gets the zone. But sometimes when it actually does work, it's just super interesting to see, you know, if the team is playing really aggressively and that's what's working for them, or they're just kind of poking at the other team and not letting them come out of their spawn. So yeah, I think it's fun. I personally stay, as a support player, just stay safe in the zone, but I like watching teams play aggressive and make that work.
No, I agree. I think that it's another map where, like, if you're able to be super aggressive and get up onto the enemy plat, you can do a lot of damage, get a lot of points on the board for your team, but it's also if you rush up onto the enemy plat and immediately go down, you lose your team the fight. So I think teams a lot of the time take like a more kind of concerted, patient method of like stopping pushes here. They like wait for enemies to be like about to drop. People like sharking under the ledge where you drop to zone. Yeah, there's I think a lot of like wait for the enemy team to push and then counterattack from like under ledges going on in this map. There isn't too much like I'm going to sit on high ground and wait for you to approach, because you are a little bit on low ground relative to the enemy. So you have to be a little bit more proactive in terms of like how you're stopping the zone push.
Yeah, you do. You have to. Specials are really helpful here too. Like, you have to really be watching
Definitely.
the other team, because even if they're staying safe in the zone and you're getting your specials ready, all of a sudden a Zuka can just come out of nowhere, or maybe even a double Zuka, and then just like totally put a stop to your push, even though you think you're safe in your side of the map on your plat. All of a sudden, just the Zuka comes out and ruins everything. So that's also something to watch too.
Yeah. My gosh. I'm gonna take a sip.
Okay. All right. And then as Fusion and I were here yapping it up about Mahi Mahi Resort, the teams are finally both in the room. So we will be headed in very shortly to see what's going to happen on Splatzone's Mahi Mahi Resort. And they are getting ready. We're going to be able to witness what both of these teams are running for this map. I'm sure from Surging Sea, we're going to see something very similar that we've been seeing from them. The main staples in their comp, of course, being that Tenebrella from Swisher and then JP on the roller. But the other two weapons tend to switch up a little bit, but it's nothing too crazy. They kind of have a set staple comp that they run based around the two weapons that I had mentioned, that Tenebrella and the roller. And then on the other side, Octos and Squids. Honestly, I'm really not sure what we're gonna see from them. It's always kind of a wild card, but it's fun. I enjoy seeing what they're end up playing. I mean, I don't know. What do you think they're gonna run here?
I'm hoping to see a blaster, a range blaster coming out for them. I think that's something that bullying tent is my passion, is all I can say. And blaster, there's no better weapon to do it. But really quick, I would like to just shout out, with the CCA Circuit action heating up, we're excited to announce that Aces ROG is the sponsor of the CCA Circuit. The esports initiative is giving CCA Circuit prizing support for top teams this season, and we're very grateful for that. You can learn more about the Elite Rewards program by typing !Aces in CCA Twitch chat. And once again, thank you to Aces ROG. I believe they have supported with prizes the last couple of seasons. So here we go. Already hopping into it, Zones Mahi. Let's get going.
All right, taking a look at these comps. So like I had mentioned from the side of Surging C, they are playing the similar things that we've seen them play before, this time paired with that 10 and the roller will be the ballpoint and the Octo shot. On the other side though, Octos and Squids coming out with their E-Leader comp that we previously saw from them in the last set we watched, the Forge, that NZAP, and then a Blaster as well paired with that.
Yeah, they do have that blaster for bullying Tentobrella. Very, very good. A Booyah Bomb as well, going to be able to shut down the tent as well. TJ Buddy looking for an opportunity to move in that bubble. Yeah, going to be something that you're going to just have to back up from. They do have the strikes for the adaptation from Surging C that we saw in that first set. Seems to be working out for them. Now, the zone gets a lot bigger now with the water level going down as time ticks down. Surging C is going to be able to move back in. They find a few very nice picks, and now that's going to be the zone capped for Surging C. They're going to try and get set up with Tentobrella already sitting on enemy snipe and already getting onto enemy plat. That's going to be great for stalling out points, and Surging C just finding 2 more picks, going to be able to extend their push in a massive way.
And this is that point you and I were talking about in depth here before this. If the other team, aka Surging C here, is able to get onto the other enemy team's plat, good things can happen for them. And it looks like even though they do have, 3 members go down, now essentially a complete wipe, they were at least able to utilize the stalling pressure of the Tentobrella and get the lead. So the lead is off by, 5 points, but at least for them, they were able to get the lead. Now they are in a position, Surging C here, where they're needing to regroup because now Octos and Squids United is in control of the zone, and they are actually able to take down the roller from Surging C, JP, and switch the lead for themselves. Doing a great job. They're playing this more patient, stally, kind of letting the other team drop into them and just not pushing too far in.
Yeah, and nice job. The Booyah is going to be able to force the 10s out of snipe, take them out here. Time's ticking down. Only 10 ticks left of the timer yet left. It's going to be neutralized here as the inkjet comes out from the ballpoint on Surging C. The strikes are going to come out in the zone. There's no paint on it, despite Octos and Squids being several members up. That is going to be a zone flip, and now Surging C is going to have an opportunity to fight. But nonetheless, OSU still maintaining a lot of control, staying multiple members up, just playing patient, just like you said, maintaining paint control, avoiding getting wiped. They want to avoid another situation where they let that tent into their spawn. Splashdown comes out onto the zone. Not the best painting special in the world. They do get a trade with the Splashdown there. The paint's going to continue trading thanks to the triple ink strikes on the zone. The roller's going to be able to get some control here, but again, not the biggest painting comp in the world. So despite Surging C gaining control of the zone here, they still have I guess a minimal control of mid. The Blaster is able to find 2, including on that roller, now chasing down the ballpoint. Zoe finds a 3rd. Huge. Now it's just the Tentobrella. They're going to hunt that tent down as well. That tent is going to be singled out. And yeah, huge plays coming out from Zoe here. Able to find 1 pick, not able to get the 2nd. Yes, they are actually. Octos and Squids United looking to put this game away, and Zoe doing a lot of work.
Yeah, they really are. They were popping off. They listened to what you said. If you're a blaster and you're going to counter a Tentobrella too, they're just like, yep, I'm going to do that. And I'm also going to take down their teammates along with them. Right now, Surging C knows that they need to at least go in and cap the zone, able to at least cap the zone. They do have 2 members go down, but giving those 44 penalty points over to Octos and Squids is going to allow them to stay in the battle here. But they really have to figure out how they need to get into the zone and keep it consistently. I think a lot of that too is like you were saying, Fusion. They don't necessarily have the painting power to paint around the zone, because even if you're able to go in and cap the zone, you need to be able to paint around the zone in order to hold the space that you need to be able to safely, consistently take mid, and they just weren't quite able to get in a position to do that. They were constantly fighting to just get paint on the board. Octos and Squids United, of course, taking this game 1 over Surging C, utilizing the range and stalliness of the weapons that they had, and also keeping a lot of paint on the board.
Yeah, I mean, I think the paintiness and patient play that was coming out from Octos and Squids United really worked to keep Surging C at bay. We saw a lot of the times the tent came in and the roller came in, but they weren't really challenged much. You can see kind of how Octos and Squids United was like rotating around them, just avoiding directly engaging with them. And on a big map like this, that's something you can do. You can just kind of move around and avoid things like the tent umbrella or a weapon in a bubble like roller, just because there aren't that many choke points that they're going to stop you at it. That's why it was a really bad situation when they were able to when Surging C pushed into Octos and Squids United spawn. It could be devastating to them, but Surging C not quite able to win back the zone and do that again, so it became a very difficult situation for them. I think on a map like that, they may need to actually stick more together rather than trying to pinch from like multiple angles, because it allows the weapons to kind of get like either singled out or just ignored. And even though Tent Umbrella usually like can take a 2v1, if you send out one member, then you're fighting a 4v3 on the rest of the map. It really like just depends on that kind of situation. I don't think we saw teams utilize like the left side out of spawn, like the islands. I think that's an angle that is pretty important on that map.
Yeah, it also seemed like too, a lot of times the tent can, like you said, go in and just make a play off of that for their team to get in. But Octos and Squids United almost seemed like they preemptively recognized that, because they would all kind of step back and poke at the tent together, and they recognize that in order to take down that tent umbrella, you just need to step back and make sure you all team fight it, because things like what we just saw in that first match can happen, and that's kind of what the counter to tent is anyways, just making sure you're fighting it with your team. So anyways, like we just saw on the screen there, the counter pick coming in from Surging C's is in. We will be headed actually to Rainmaker Museum. Haven't seen this one yet here on this stream.
Yeah, we haven't seen it yet. Haven't seen it yet today. Very good, very solid map here. I think this is one that Surging C picked this. I think this is one where having like a tent umbrella can go a long way. And I think past that first checkpoint, points are pretty hard to come by, especially since you can kind of defend from high ground as the defending team. So it's very difficult to like knock out on this map, but sure ways to get points like that tent umbrella are very valuable. We do have Pencil and that Zimmy coming out as well. Zimmy, a nice pick. Lot of paint coming out from Octos and Squids United, trying to take advantage of the big map by having some extra range. A lot of range with the Pro, Zimmy, and Pencil, as yet again Octos and Squids United kind of just playing very patiently into the comp Surging C is throwing at them.
And Surging C this time having a Tri-Slosher added to their comp instead of the ballpoint that we've typically seen from them. So they're looking to play a little bit more, I'm guessing, fast pace and a little bit more aggressively with this shorter range comp. So kind of opposite actually of what Octos and Squids United is doing. Looks like it's working out well for Surging C here initially, as they're able to push forward and get through at least this first checkpoint. And with 3 members up, they're doing a good job, the 3 of them, as they wait for their 4th member to come back, at holding this right side of the map, maybe trying to figure out how they want to continue this push, sneak through, grab the Rainmaker. Doesn't look like they're going to quite be able to do that though, as they have a couple members go down. They try and get some jump-ins there to continue the momentum they built up, but that does get called out by Octos and Squids. And now Octos and Squids United, now they are pushing forward, grabbing the Rainmaker and trying to make a fast play off of this advantage state that they do have.
Yeah, super aggressive play coming out from Octos and Squids United, but unfortunately the Rainmaker pretty far behind. They're going to have to kind of reattempt this fight on the plat here. The tent umbrella being a nuisance as always on that right side is going to be huge, but the Blaster is able to find a pick Zoe yet again, helping their team move in towards that checkpoint. Octos and Squids United is going to have some space. They're going to be able to get the dunk. Akamu is going to be able to back up, and a very, very clean checkpoint is going to even up this game. Now, all of Surging Sea is still alive on the plat, but Octos and Squids United has most of what they need. That bubble is going to be huge for momentum. The splashdown comes through. That's 2 members down. A Booyah clears the way. There's only 1 member. It's the Tentabrella. They're not able to get a pick fast enough. It's all the way down to 12. Octos and Squids United with a huge push. That's going to be very difficult to contest, and they're not even done yet. They're still alive on the plat and getting those jumps in.
That's such a good position to be in, just holding the enemy side spinner, getting those jump-ins like you said, and just continuing to hold space. I love that they did not go back into mid. That the more that they're able to hold the space that they have, the more difficult it's going to be for Surging Sea to even make something happen. I mean, Surging Sea here might have to, okay, they guarded the Rainmaker long enough for it to reset into mid at least, so members of Octos and Squids are going to have to go back for the Rainmaker and get off of Surging Sea's spinner area here. Hopefully for Surging Sea, this will be the opening that they need to get at least back into mid so they can try and get a push going in. But I mean, Octos and Squids, they're actually not letting down. They're continuing to take down members of Surging Sea, grabbing the Rainmaker again and trying to continue to possibly get in a position where they can actually KO the Rainmaker.
Yeah, Big Game moving forward on that left side. Now it's going to be Zoe moving forward with that paint, able to find 1 pick. It's hard to find members here. It's bigger than the Blaster's radius. Able to find 1 pick, not able to find more there. The Zuga is going to shut down the Rainmaker. That is going to be a full wipeout. Surging Sea able to stop this lead from turning from bad to worse here. Now they're going to have an opportunity again to get back in on the map and get the points on the board. No checkpoint in the way, so if they're able to get the picks they need, they can really capitalize very quickly. They are going to opt to reset the Rainmaker just because it's a little bit faster, so that is going to really just be a full reset as they regain control and try and set up on this right side. Zuka comes out, but all of Octos and Squids United backs up in turn. The bubble comes out on the enemy plat, super defensive. Got a whole battleship set up on the plat here. They are going to now come back into mid and win the fight against that Tentabrella. There are members still sharking in mid, but Octos and Squids United being very patient, clearing out corners, not getting overly aggressive.
They are doing a really good job at playing patient. They're making sure too that they call out these point sensors. I just realized like how helpful they've been as well in order to call out the Tentabrella and the roller. That if you're a tent and a roller just trying to play sneaky around the map together, point sensors are going to be your worst enemy. Just continuing to have your sneaky positions called out. Looks like JP though not point censored up there, able to rush forward and take down 1 member of Octos and Squids. However, Octos and Squids here still in the upper hand as they are kind of just staying back and playing a lot the same way that they were playing in that last game that we saw, just staying back, poking at any members of Surging Sea that are trying to come into mid, keeping the paint on the map. It almost seems like they have kind of locked down the play style that they need to play specifically against Surging Sea, and it's working out really well for them as they're able to take game 2 versus Surging Sea.
Yeah, and this 2-0 lead is going to make things difficult because now, now Octos and Squids United is going to have multiple counter picks if they do lose to, win back a set. Surging Sea needs a reverse sweep, but it's going to be very difficult for them. They seemed like they would be... I feel like they haven't won this set yet. I feel like they would be more of a zones-oriented team, so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw like Zones Mako coming out here. I feel like that's a very solid tent zones pick here. Clam's Barnacle coming out would be very good as well for the roller. I think that Rainmaker may be one of the worst modes for them. Just even though they picked this one, I feel like this may not be one of their best fits team composition wise.
I definitely kind of saw the vision of wanting to utilize the open range of the map for that Tentabrella and being able to play off of that. Maybe it's something too that in scrims they've previously been really comfortable on. But like you said, it didn't necessarily work out for them as Octos and Squids United has really kind of figured out that play style that they need to do against Surging C. Looks like the counter pick does come in from Surging C. We will be headed to Zones, Hagglefish Market. So another like big open map. And again, I could see them being able to utilize that 10 Umbrella shield here on the flanks, on the zone itself. I think if they're able to get in positions where they're going to be able to utilize the left and the right flank on this map, they can make things happen. It's just they got to make sure they don't get called out by the other team.
Yeah, definitely. I think that, I mean, this should work very well for the, Tent Umbrella. Just the choke point in the middle of the map. It used to be filled, I think, mostly by crab tanks, and that was the way you get through the zone. Tent Umbrella, another very good option for that. Roller and other bubble weapons as well, being able to set up bubble in the zone and just block paint through the shield is also another huge way that I think you can really fight to take control and win the zones fight here. But we'll have to see what adaptations these teams are going to make here, because it's going to be a lot more difficult, I think, for OSU to really play avoidant on this map. It's a large map, but it's pretty narrow, so going to be a little bit harder to fully avoid like shields and other things that Surging C is going to throw at them.
Yeah, that's a good point. When I think about as a support player, I this is one of those maps where if I want to kind of stay back and wait for my team, or play a little bit more patiently, the other team can just rush forward so fast through the zone, and there's not much space for you to run backwards at all. So I agree. I could see Octos and Squid's patient play style maybe not be the best here, but we'll have to see. We're headed into game 3 here. Splat Zones, Hagglefish Market, and taking a look at these comps. Very similar things that we've seen from both sides. Each team's anchor this time around going to be the pencil on the side of Octos and Squids, and then Surging C this time bringing back that ballpoint to utilize as their anchor player. Looks like Surging C here getting the upper hand, taking the zone initially and pushing forward as well, trying to figure out, do we want to push forward? Do we want to utilize this tent shield? And just, kind of getting a feel here initially as they continue to hold the zone.
Yeah, something also I wanted to point out is Kanamik's ballpoint here. This is an incredible inkjet map and a very solid ballpoint map. I think that's going to be huge in order to recap the zone or try and win neutral situations here. The strikes come out. Oh, excellent strikes coming out all the way behind Octos and Squids United, and that's going to force them into the Tent Umbrella, who gets 2 picks out of the interaction. So huge play coming out. Surging C is going to still lose the zone here, but still coming out on top of these fights. Miku Cat able to find pick after pick after pick and keep Surging C in this fight.
Ooh, I saw Swisher do this way because he was doing a great job at just holding the zone and holding pressure, holding the other team back, waiting for his teammates to utilize the pressure that he was able to keep the space with that 10 Umbrella shield. Finally, for Surging C, they're able to retake the zone. But Octos and Squids United here, they're doing a good job at holding their space. They're continuing to get specials thrown at them, though. This is how we were highlighting, where there's not much room to play more patiently and stay backwards as much. And Surging C actually is really utilizing that, using that as their favor. This is definitely, I think, a good counter pick for them, like you said.
This definitely seems like it so far. Kanamik on the ballpoint, trying to look for a way in. There's a member of Octos and Squids over on that left side, not on the flank just yet. Surging C is looking to really get back in control here. They have a inkjet at the ready, but Zoe on the blaster has been absolutely huge this set, finding a lot of picks, and that's going to chase the ballpoint out, prevent them from pushing in here. And now they're wise to JP here. Yeah, they're like, something's painting over here. Something's a little fishy, and they're able to clear out that roller. That's going to be huge. OSU now ticking the timer down all the way to 50. This could be a lead swap. The inkjet is going to come out in combination with the Tent Umbrella, a fizzy bomb. Oh my goodness. disgusting. Even after the nerf, able to get the triple hits and finish off member of OSU, and Surging C is going to be able to recapture the zone before they lose the lead. So great stuff. Specials coming out just in the nick of time. That's going to enable Surging C to maintain that control.
Yeah, Surging C, they're doing a good job at just holding the space that they need, trying to await their teammates to come back. They're constantly, I feel like I'm just constantly seeing strikes come out and just allowing them to continue to hold space as they wait for their roller and their Tenebrella to come back and regroup. Finally, for them, they are pushed forward in this aggressive position. This is exactly where the Tenebrella and the roller want to be if you are in control of the zone and able to play aggressively like that. Miku Gyat here able to go back into the zone though, and recognizing that they need to get in a position where they just guard the zone because the other team is gaining space on the zone. Looks like they are so close now. No, Octos and Squid's not able to recap. That's essentially 3 members down. It's just the mini left alive, and just like that, Surging C able to end up essentially getting a complete wipe there onto Octos and Squids at the end and taking this game. So finally getting a point on the board, and we will still be in it as we head next to a game 4 that'll be Octos and Squids counterpick this time around.
Yeah, that's huge plays coming out from Surging C there. They were able to really force Octos and Squids United to kind of play their game. They could not avoid that narrow choke point in the middle. Octos and Squids United doesn't have the most specials in the world to just, throw at things. So they're able to really filter people into the tent, into the ball point with that ink jet, and we're able to force them out of the zone. There's not really too many spaces to paint besides that zone here in the middle of the map. So Surging C able to force Octos and Squids into a difficult situation. But now they are going to be forced onto the counter pick of Octos and Squids, not once, but maybe twice, depending on whether Surging C is able to win this game. So it's an uphill battle for them. That's the first win, but I think this could be a bit difficult. Octos and Squids United Scarlet has the opportunity to pick a difficult map. The last thing Octos and Squids United won on was Rainmaker. So I believe they're not able to pick Rainmaker.
Okay. I know, and
They
then
could.
Oh, go ahead.
No, sorry.
I was gonna say, I'm thinking too, they might want to pick like a more open map because that seems like that's what Surging C has been having difficulties on too.
Yeah, it definitely seems that way. I think they're looking for that, but are they able to pick zones again? I think team. Got it. So they're not able to pick zones or Rainmaker, which means they're going to be forced to pick either Clam Blitz or Tower Control. I feel like they're going to try. I feel like they may try and avoid Tower Control. I feel like they may have difficulty with like a roller sharking around the tower. So I feel like we may see something like Clam Blitz. Was it Octos and Squids United? Oh no, we are indeed going to see Tower Control on Ship Shape. Very interesting.
Definitely really interesting. This is definitely it's a big open map, but also it's just narrow and has so many levels to it. So interesting. I'm interested. I'm intrigued.
Definitely is. I mean, I hate to say this every freaking time, but like, this is a flat map. This seems like the best Tentebrella tower control map, if I were to say anything. I mean, we saw this, I believe, earlier versus the name that just left my mind a moment ago, Golden Barracudas, and we saw the kind of battle in like top left for that final checkpoint. But here we go, hopping into it. Same deal. Surging C knows exactly what their game plan is. Octos and Squids United making some minor adjustments. It's going to be the Charger, the ZF, with the strikes.
Oh wow, I was honestly not expecting a Charger ZF coming out from Octos and Squids United, so that I think will really come into play here for them, being able to utilize the long range of that, being able to play that stally way that they typically have been doing a good job versus Surging C. So initially, as both teams are fighting in mid right now, it's looking like even playing field here, as each team is able to take down one member of the other team. But speaking of even playing field, oh my goodness, Octos and Squids United taking down essentially a complete wipe on to Surging C. They recognized that there was JP left alive there on the left side of the map, able to call that out, even though JP was able to take down a member along with that. So now Octos and Squids United at the first checkpoint. They are gathered up there on the checkpoint and just trying to get through it. They are able to get through it, and Swisher here, Miko Yacht, is able to utilize the range of that Zuka, and that has helped them kind of stall out the push that Octos and Squids had going, finally able to get a complete wipe on to Octos and Squids, and now just like that, the tower is back into mid here and reset.
Yeah, after that disgusting Zuka, a lot of momentum from Octos and Squids United was stopped there, and now Surging C has a lot of space in the middle of the map. That's going to be the blaster taken out. That means this checkpoint is going to be a lot safer than it otherwise would have been. TJ Buddy actually able to get on the tower and move it. Oh no, the Inkjet helps finish off two members, but that means that just the one member jumping in on Surging C is going to be left alive. Octos and Squids United then is going to have the player advantage, so this checkpoint is not going to fall. Surging C still has to play patiently and wait for their opportunity in here. Yeah, now it's going to be the 10th on that left side. They find one pick, they find a second one with that shotgun shot. And now that Tentabrilla in the top left, especially with Zuka, is going to pose a lot of trouble. There's one pick looking for a second one. They got to keep the blaster far away. That's going to be the Charger in the top left and the first checkpoint going to Surging C.
That was such a good play coming out from the 10th there on the left side, utilizing the shield to create the space that they needed, and then also utilizing the range of the Zuka to also just play through that and continue holding the space that they had. Now Surging C able to get the lead, and at this checkpoint working their way at getting through it. Looks like no one from Octos and Squid is able to even get to the tower right now, so Surging C doing a great job getting their score all the way down to 7. It's just JP left alive on that roller. You can see JP there smartly jumps back. They recognize they were called out and they were probably just going to end up going down anyway, so much smarter to go back, regroup with their teammates. And with a lead all the way down to 7, Surging C has got to be feeling good right now.
Yeah, a very strong push, and that third checkpoint coming off easily is going to be really, really valuable for them. I think that the extra points means they can play a little bit more cautious around the checkpoint. They're able to secure it with their ink strikes or that ink jet. Strikes now coming in from Surging C. They're not happy with their position in mid right now. They need to get back in to take that right side. Otherwise, these checkpoints are going to fall one after the other very quickly. The entirety of Octos and Squids United is up here, and one is going to go down to that Ink Zuka. Now the roller getting caught in no man's land. Octos and Squids United now rolling that checkpoint, rolling that tower to that final checkpoint. Surging C does have to make a move here. Here comes the Inkjet in that top left. It does not get picked off by the Charger. Now that Inkjet going to continue pressuring. Now the Charger does find the pick. There's still one member in the top left. They do get taken out, but that is the checkpoint. Octos and Squids United does go down, but they do get the checkpoint. So there is an opportunity, I think, in overtime for Octos and Squids United to get this back. Surging C still maintaining control. They need to really clear out mid and end this game now.
Yeah, they do. They're recognizing that, and they're getting on the tower. They're making sure that they're watching the left angle there, this right angle where Zoe's at. keeping an eye on that. And right now, they kind of just really need to play kind of patiently and just hold the ground that they already have, which is exactly what they're doing. Finally, Octos and Squids, though, is coming in with the specials that they were able to gather up. Unfortunately for them, do have a member go down. There is a Booyah Bomb at the tower coming out from Octos and Squids, trying to clear out anyone around it, but with JP and Swisher there guarding the tower, just poking at it from all angles. They put a stop to that really quick, and they actually have now tied up the score. Surging C winning this and tying up the score 2-2. So once again, here on the stream, we will be headed to a Game 5.
Man, we've had some very good sets today. Now, winners finals, Surging C and Octos and Squids united. Going to Game 5, absolutely massive. It's going to be Ohio State University versus University of North Carolina, Greensboro. Which team is going to come out victorious and make their way to grand finals? Again, this is double elimination, so these teams still have a chance even if they lose. But both teams, it's a much easier path if you go down here.
Yeah, definitely. If you go down here on the loser side of the bracket, you don't quite have to crawl through as much of that bracket if you're going down here. So definitely true. And the team who wins this will be sitting in grand finals, kind of waiting for the loser side of the bracket to end. But with the way that Surging C has kind of totally flipped this around, I'm interested how this Game 5 is going to go, because all of a sudden Surging C has kind of figured out what they need to do to counter Octos and Squids.
Yeah, I mean, the games have been very, very close, but nonetheless, Surging C has a lot of momentum. It feels like, I feel like they really need the right map pick in order to win here. And in my personal opinion, I feel like this is a little bit. I feel like Tent is one of those weapons that you've got to be like, okay, I can't play my game when that weapon's around, or I can't play my game when Roller is around. You really need to say, I need to do something that's going to make it difficult for them, like particularly difficult. And I think picking a large flat map is not quite. I feel like it's not quite the answer. I feel like they need to change things up a bit.
I think too, maybe if Octos and Squids kind of continues to go back to that more paint heavy comp and just kind of playing really based around that, I could totally see them turning this around. But I'm also kind of wondering if Surging C maybe recognized that that's the way Octos and Squids was playing, and they figured out, something that they need to do differently. I'm not sure quite what it is as I'm watching this, trying to figure it out myself, but whatever it is, it's working for Surging C, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I feel I don't have any easy answers. I feel like I don't know. Things are a little bit challenging. What good clams maps are there?
Look at the pinned map list. Oh, I was looking. Oh, thank you, production. Okay, so we have
Forge, Museum, Inkblot, Mako, Umami, Humpback, Barnacle, and Dime. Very interesting.
I'm like trying to think if you're, countering that Tent and the Roller. Which of these is really going to help you? Not even depending on what weapons you pick, but I want to say, oh, okay, so the counter pick is in. We were thinking Clam Blitz, but we are actually headed to Tower Control. I think that Barnacle and Dime.
Interesting. I did not. Is this an option?
Yes.
Interesting.
Split too.
All right. Well, very flat map. Very snowballing map. Octos and Squids United has to be ready for this. They need to be very aware and careful, because one false move and you're going to have that Tent Umbrella marching across the slick into your spawn. So we'll have to see how exactly that things are going to work out here. I'm curious to see what Octos and Squids United's reasoning for that. Yeah, what the reasoning for that is. I feel like the charger into the tent umbrella is just, it's a difficult time.
Yeah, I'm really curious if they'll play the charger again or not. I don't know. I feel like that
I feel like we
difficult,
probably
too.
will see ZF again just for the strikes. I think that's a pretty solid option, but OSU is going to have to be very proactive in order to avoid like the tent and the roller just marching their way into enemy territory. And I think a ballpoint here for Surging C is kind of like the ideal pick. I feel like having an anchor that's super mobile and won't die is gonna pay off in dividends for Surging C. So we'll see how Game 5 is going to shape up here. Let's go into it.
All right, taking a look at these comps as well. So there is that ballpoint that you mentioned coming out from Konamic, and I agree that's going to be really, really helpful for them. On the other side, we see the Stringer come back. Actually, I don't think we've seen that yet this set for Octos and Squid, so that actually might be the counter pick that they have here, enabling them to push on this map, poke over these ledges, and poke at Surging C.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it is, but oh my god, the tent just getting up in their faces and finding 2 picks before they can assess the situation and realize where players are, and that's going to be huge. The tower is going to march forward. That is going to be the first checkpoint going to Surging C there. Now, Tent Umbrella moving forward, they do get taken out. Octos and Squids United actually doing a very nice job cleaning up in the middle of the map here, not able to are not allowing things to turn from bad to worse. The Kraken actually used as an entry tool, opening things up, and that's going to help clear the first checkpoint. The Booyah securing things, that's going to chase back the Tent Umbrella. There's the first checkpoint. The tower's moving forward. Now, Octos and Squids United clearing out all of mid. They just need to clear out this top right here. Here comes the Tent facing down Zoe on the blaster, and it's going to chase out the blaster, but still no one going down in that interaction there. Surging C now going to storm back, stop the tower, but both teams playing very cautious, I think. It feels like both teams know they don't want to go down in this situation. They know this map is very volatile, so you can't afford to put everything into these pushes. You just gotta take what you can and avoid huge risks.
Absolutely. It can be like you highlighted before, this very snowbally map, so you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket here, because once you get past that first checkpoint, once the other team has passed it, it can just get so snowbally if they're able to get up into your top right area in your spawn and just keep pushing that way. So right now, with Octos and Squids getting that lead over Surging C, 30 to 70 points remaining right now. It's that battle in mid to get the tower once again. Surging C here looking to be the team that does get that upper hand, and now on the tower again. So Konamic here using this Inkjet. This is a really good position for an Inkjet to be in, just able to look above, poke at this left side and the right side of the other team's spawn. And now, past that second checkpoint, Surging C looking to close in on the lead here.
Yeah, the Wavebreaker challenging the tower. Octos and Squids United is going to step on it in order to stop the tower from rolling forward any further. But huge pick coming out from Konamic on the ballpoint. That's going to let the roller sneak forward, but the roller taken out, spotted under the ledge there. And Octos and Squids United doing a great job. I think the Wellstring doing a lot of work hitting over corners and stuff where Octos and Squids United would otherwise not be able to. That Inkjet getting shut down as well. Absolutely massive. Octos and Squids United just being able to watch corners and provide just a lot of chip pressure on the tower to prevent it from moving, forcing Surging C to like really use their bodies, move and get onto the tower, get ahead of the tower even, to move forward rather than just trying to dive in, take a fight to stop the tower. It's working out for them. JP now challenging, finds one pick, they're looking for another, challenging that NZAP. Big Gay is going to go down, but a roller taken out in turn. This fight just never ends. Octos and Squids United has been on the defensive for a minute and a half, and if they go down here, this could be the lead and the set.
You gotta be playing like just so cautiously, so smartly, and make sure that you don't make little mistakes that can really cost you. Even though you do have the lead, being Octos and Squids, I mean, with the way that this map can get so snowbally, you have to play carefully. That's exactly what they did. The chip damage coming out from Okamu was able to just... They were able to just hold space and just keep poking over the ledges, not even move. I think that was a great counterpick weapon on this map that they have counterpicked. And just playing patient like that and having the team play around that chip damage is so smart from them. Surging C is really just gonna have to figure out how to get past that. How do you even take down that member that's so far away that is causing all this chip damage and not enabling you to push forward?
Oh, there's a Kraken on the side of Octos and Squids United. That could be a great tool for stopping the tower. It does need to come out. I believe it was just popped. Now members of Surging C are going to have to make their way to the tower. The Kraken guarding it. It's 3 members down onto Surging C. It's just Tapumasu. They strike the tower. They're not able to get onto it in time. Octos and Squids United is going to hang on by the skin of their teeth, winning the set 3-2 in a very stressful Game 5. And make their way to winners finals, hoping to become the Division 2 champs.
Ooh, man. That score, I think the score just says it all, honestly. 3-2, went to a Game 5, and man, that was, I wasn't even playing and it felt like a lot of work. Whew.
It certainly did. I mean, some games you feel like you're playing.
Yeah.
I would have choked this game. I know for a fact I would have choked this game. So
Honestly,
incredible
same.
stuff to Octos and Squids United for hanging on and clutching this game. There's a lot of things, like if the Inkjet's able to find a pick while Surging C is pushing, that could be lead. If a member dives in at the tower, that could be lead. If if Zuka finds like a pick or two, that could be lead. There's a lot of situations in which the tower could move forward just a little bit more. It's so stressful. Oh my gosh.
It is. And I don't see this map and mode played in competitive, I think hardly ever. So just really kind of seeing the stressfulness of it here, especially in a Game 5. The Game 5 just adds to the stress even more. Was very stressful, and I'm glad I wasn't playing it. So shout out to those 2 teams, because each of them I think did a really good job. They both got really good pushes and they both played really well. It was just kind of the one team having the upper hand. I think a lot of that weapon, that stringer, just really came into play as enabling Octos and Squids there a lot, especially on defense.
Yeah, it absolutely did. It's kind of like a cluster bomb. You know, it's like a lot of chip damage on the tower. It's like a second blaster, I guess. Yeah, it was used as well to kind of cut off a lot of paint. Wellstring paints, I guess, a surprising amount, or at least it blocks off areas pretty well. That worked out very well into Surging C, but this may not be the last of them. They do have another opportunity in that losers bracket, so we'll have to see if they're going to be able to make their way back. But that winners finals is going to be the end of our block. We are going to be handing it off to 2 more incredible casters, ShinyHunterZach and Kyon. They're going to take you through all the way to the finish of this Division 2 finals. It's been a lot of fun, Rissa.
It has been. It has been. I'm glad to have been here with you, Fusion. You have any closing words before we sign out here?
Always pet the cat.
Yes, real. That is very real. I would have joined you if my cat was here. But all right, on that note, that's gonna be it from me and Fusion. Thank you so much for watching this, and like Fusion said, we have some good casters coming up to close out the rest of this Division 2 cast, so don't go anywhere. We will be back very shortly and be back in the action.
Stay tuned.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the last set of games here in the CCA Circuit Finals Division 2. We'll be capping off losers finals and grand finals coming up. My name is Kyon. I am joined by the illustrious and only ShinyHunterZach. Zach, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm good. Thank you so much, of course, to CCA and yourself for having me. Super excited. There's been already a swath of close and fun games taking place on multiple different streams. There's 4 different streams for the 4 different divisions that we have today. As Kyon mentioned, we'll be covering Division 2 and seeing it through with losers finals coming up next. We're picking up from best of 3 now into best of 5. And we're going to be starting with Surging C versus EaUCD Splatoon White.
We've seen both of these teams earlier today on stream. We had Surging C from the first round and then Splatoon White on that second round. It feels like Surging C, though, they have went the distance, what it felt like. Unfortunately, not able to get off with the victory there. And now UCD Splatoon White on its way through to this losers final setup, and I'm really excited to see how both these teams are going to play. I saw the matches from earlier. JP's just been going nuts with on Surging C's end. This should be an exciting matchup we're going to have ahead of us here, Zach.
Yeah, take a look at the kind of weapon compositions that they're bringing. It looks like Surging C a bit more confident and consistent with what they like to run, seeing a lot of trying to vow with the roller as well as the octo shot and then the tent umbrella to round things out. On the opposite side of things for EaUCD Splatoon White, definitely more varied, at least from finals day one. They were running things like different kinds of dualies and even longer range weapons like the Nautilus and the Wellstring. So as we get into game 1 here on one of the more neutral and favored map mode combinations, Splat Zone's Hagglefish, this one should be a set to remember.
I hope we get that set that excites a lot of us here. As we take a look at the weapons here, there's that tent umbrella with, of course, the Zuka on hand. There's that ballpoint that Surging C is dishing out there as well. I also love that mid decav weapon there from Splatoon White, along with the pencil. A lot of weapons that are kind of stabilizing here. Of course, you noted there too. Very neutral game is starting out here. 15 seconds already into this matchup. Already a brawl happening around mid so far. Hammer's looking for the flank, gonna get shut down right away. And the points currently slowly ticking down, but we're still back to this neutral state here. Splatoon White's going to lose 2 here, and Zach start out with a little bit of fireworks, fighting around the zone right away.
Yeah, a couple trade-offs back and forth, but it looks like Surging C, for all intents and purposes, is going to win that, not only for getting multiple picks, but they still had 3 of their specials online. They're going to pop the big bubbler here in front of the zone just to make sure to keep the momentum, and also just throwing those triple ink strikes with reckless abandon as the third of the 3 that inkjet comes out. It's so nice to see, basically all of the different Splatlings come out. I've seen across this entire weekend basically every category of both Splatling and Splatana, including this mint decav, if you want to classify it, they're going to use. But just past the halfway mark of Surging C before EaUCD finally able to take the zone back.
Yeah, a lot of points already taken down from Surging C's, and they were trying to continue that aggression as much as they could, but they end up paying the price. They already lose 3. Splatoon White, they are going to be up with the man advantage there, excuse me, on that one. The bubble has already been popped, and now they're looking to play this one a little bit more defensively, trying to wait for the time where Surging C is going to try to move forward there, try to see if they can look for that opening, try to get them by surprise. JP is just trying to move right in, but is going to get shut down right away, and 2 members already down. Splatoon White should be able to get the lead here shortly, Zach.
Yeah, EaUCD is picking up on one of the main strategies that Surging C is employing, which is having one of your main slayers sort of hiding right behind that large canopy that the tent umbrella is able to deploy, while your Splatling is kind of hanging back, building that special and trying to get some passive ink control as well. It works for the time being. Surging C finally able to get some control here. We see that big bubbler placed in a familiar spot, and the mint decav falling right in the midst of it. Is Konami going to be a bit more aggressive? The pencil not quite able to pick up the 2 shots required for the splat. And again, we're seeing some deja vu, those triple ink strikes coming out in a full line, ensuring that they can get some control. But after that flurry of specials, the pendulum swings right back. EaUCD using their own tri-strike and their own ink storm as Pampers with that Nautilus setting up right where they need to, even despite losing the zone, setting up here, using those boxes for cover, while Kyon instead hiding behind that canopy yet again.
Yeah, hiding behind the canopy once more, and we're back to that initial flurry where Splatoon White was trying to fight back. Surging C powers back through, and it's just turning to this matchup here where both teams is stuck into this neutral state here. This contest over the zone is just going back and forth with no ground really giving away here. Nautilus is being used by Pampers, trying to build themselves a little bit of room there. There's that 10. You know there too. Mikugyat is trying to hide behind it. No openings quite yet, but it gives Surgeon C some room to maneuver. And I believe, yes, that was the Inkjet special that was also being used, but Pampers shuts down JP right away. And with all that being said and done, one member going down, EaUCD Splatoon White will be able to get the zones back despite losing 2 later on. And once again, we're back into this slight neutral state here. Nobody again really gained any sort of advantage here with about a minute and 35 left.
Yeah, nice little flick by the Tenterbrella there to pick up the splat onto the Nautilus, and Konamic looking forward here. Kind of a couple members hiding under that canopy as the penalty is going to tick away and some true points going to be earned. JP, sort of the main offensive edge. Having the big bubbler is such a huge advantage when fighting something like the Mint-Cavitator that can outrange you and do such consistent damage. Pampers trying to make sure they can stay alive even, but they get taken down as the zone is going to flip over. The tri-strikes, 2 of them make it slightly onto the zone, but that's quickly cleaned up by Konamic, who's going to have that Inkjet ready yet again. Poppy trying to see if they can get in, but there's nothing doing, and Wishy-Washy on the high ground, unable to make an impact on the zone. So after some back and forth here, Surging Sparks doing a great job of cleaning it up near the end, and they'll take the set lead, 1-0.
1-0 is the start there, and I love just that incredible back and forth that we saw from both of these teams right away, but Surging C getting that last laugh there. I saw the trip strikes being used by Splatoon White at the very end, just trying to get any sort of ground there back in the zone. It was almost basically just desperation trip strikes that needed to be used just to see if they can get any full neutral, but I believe from what I saw was two of those trip strikes only landing, and it was all cleaned up just like that. And then once they used those, there wasn't anything left in the tank. So Zach, hopefully we get to see this go the distance with the way that first map kind of played out. And as we do get to see a few of these replays, it kind of almost illustrates how close these teams already were from the first map.
Yeah, we alluded to the fact that it was nice to start these two teams out on a very neutral ground, kind of the final destination of Splatoon, if Splatoon has one, with Splat Zones on Hagglefish. And now we get into the counterpicking aspect of things. So it's going to go over to EaUCD Splatoon White, and they're going to be able to look at sort of what have they historically been good on, taking a look at their results over the circuit finals day 1, a lot of success on tower control, on Clam Blitz. If they wanted to run it back on Splat Zones, I could certainly see it there. But it felt like one of the big reasons that they were struggling is this sort of double protective aspect that Surging C has. They have the big canopy from the Tenebrola, and they also have that big bubbler that the roller is going to be popping. So they need to find a way for their more offensive components to get already into the faces of that team before they can build those up, or just find a way around them, use either those hallways or what other features that the next map we go to provides in order to take down some of those big offensive threats. And when they're able to do that, they were running the Tactical there, which Surging C was not providing in their composition. So once they get that aspect out of the way, they should have the natural edge if their pencil can get their Tactical online consistently.
And that's going to be the ultimate question, is if they can get the cooler off consistently there, along with having to deal with what Surging C was dishing out on them. A little bit of a map mode combination that we just don't normally see often here. Marlin Airport Zones being the counterpick here. Zach, what do you take of this?
It's a strange one. Splat Zone's certainly probably the favored mode of most competitive Splatoon players, but Marlin is just one that you don't see very much. I kind of liken it to Mincemeat in that it didn't really see a ton of play until recently, and now they're picking something up. So for Splat Zones, looking at EaUCD White, they have a lot of variance in their composition, so maybe this is something where they can pick up a comp or a set of weapons that Surging C is not really going to be ready for or predict. And on the opposite side of things, Surging C, they're very consistent with their Brella, they're very consistent with their roller, so they sort of run that no matter what map and mode gets played. And they have a 50-50 win percentage roughly on Splat Zone, so it's anybody's guess whether the actual map will impede them at all, but maybe the fans and the rising and lowering platforms that could throw a wrench in their well-laid plans.
And that's gonna be the ultimate question, is if what Splatoon White is dishing at Surging C is gonna throw them off here. Hi, Dreadringer from Jim. I see you there right out of the gate. I don't think there's actually any weapon changes, but sort of say here from Surging C. So I'm gonna be intrigued to see if that Reef Slider is gonna be able to deliver value. It makes sense really with how small that zone is, especially in this Marlin Zones map. And right away, EaUCD Splatoon White already striking first with the zone, and the rest of Surging C still trying to find some avenues to work with there. Miku got, of course, working behind that 10 umbrella, trying to get some clearance out of the way here. Zuka's going to try to fire a few shots. Didn't look like it landed there. And back to this neutral state we go again once more. Splatoon White able to get control of the zone back there. They do lose their decaf, but it's only just going to be for about a few quick moments, and they're out of the penalty points in short order here, Zach.
Yeah, we got to see one of the natural predators of the Reef Slider, and that is any sort of box or obstacle that you're not going to be able to get that ink behind. They had a couple of members sighted that were sitting right behind the zone, and they were able to impact, of course, their side of the zone, as we saw on the right-hand side of the screen. That second one come out. It looks like they got Tapumasu with that Reef Slider, but it's going to be trading 2 for 1, unfortunately, as the Dread is going to be a sitting duck coming out of that Reef Slider, and that's going to give Surging C, after an early push to 57 by Splatoon White, a chance to get the zone themselves. And not just that, they find another pick onto Nightbloom there on the bottom of your screen. Floppy looks like they're having a little bit of difficulty getting around Miku Gyat's large canopy there, which was one of the main focal points we were looking at, and so far looking incredibly strong. The map control from a composition that really relies on just 2 of your weapons to make that paint happen is doing exceptionally, and now Splatoon White having to expend specials like the Reef Slider and the Inkstorm to see if they can take that zone back over.
The fact they had to use so many specials just to get any control of the zone and has been a big thing here for Splatoon White there. We saw that Miku Gyat once again trying to use that shield or that canopy, if you will, just trying to get clear out the space there. They did get shut down from what we saw there with a nice little defense from Surging C. Yes, they are going to lose streak, but they do stop a little bit of the points ticking down there, as you will. And here's Jim. That Reef Slider does get one. Everybody escapes at the nick of time, and they will basically trade for their lives there. But it is going to be a 2-for-2 trade, but it gives Splatoon White more control of the zone for now, and it will be the lead change here. 37 points for me, and still counting down. The decap's down. JP has gone down with the roller, and Splatoon White still in pretty decent control. Look out for Miku Gyat and Masu, kind of right there, just trying to build up that space for themselves. The trip strike secures it, and Zach, Splatoon White takes the lead back there. Now just 23 points remaining.
Yeah, you have to be so careful when you're grouping up like that. We saw that on the zone. We saw that when that honeypot of a situation arose when the Reef Slider took place, and I'm surprised they were only able to get 1 out of that, because there were at least 3 grouped up together, and so you have to be very careful where you're positioning yourselves, despite the fact that it is a very team-heavy game. Pamper's throwing out the Inkstorm and seeing if they can get some chip damage off, but they've lost a couple of their compatriots. It's just going to be Nightbloom left to see if they can help paint the zone alongside that special. Some jump-ins taking place, and they have held on to the lead, but the tri-strikes are going to confirm the zone, and they have no penalty to contend with. Jim does have the Reef Slider ready, and they're going to have to find a spot to peek through, but not before the lead changes over yet again to Surging C. They have the Inkjet at the ready as well, and Miku Gyat playing defense here at the front of the zone with that canopy. Very interested to see as we get into single digits whether Surging C can hold this out.
Zach, this has been a crazy back and forth. It feels like it is total deja vu from the first map alone, with everybody just trying to fight for whatever they can out of the zone with any sort of advantages that they have. And we do see Surging C holding firm on defense for about a quick moment. Here's Jim, just flying through the trip strikes. That Reef Slider just goes through like no problem there, and they take out 1. More importantly, that was a 10 umbrella going down there as well, but they do lose 3 by themselves. Sure, the Reef Slider takes out the tent, but Splatoon White is able to get control of the zone back for just a few quick moments before quickly going back into the penalty points there, and Surging C still holding firm to the zone here. About a minute left to go here. Zach, could be a very intense finish even.
I hate to keep bringing it up, but that's one of the main reasons why Dreadringer until recently wasn't seen very much, is you can hit both of your shots and still not get the KO, and you are locked basically into that animation, and it leaves you a sitting duck for whatever the enemy has in store for you. As we see Pampers on the left-hand side here, making use of those fans we talked about before the set got started, and they have a flank angle, but they get 90-degree flicked on with the Inkjet as Konamic able to hit them with that shot. 30 seconds left to go, and EaUCD trying to take down their penalty, but they lose control temporarily. Miku pushing forward, but gets taken down by Floppy, and it looks like despite all of that, it will be just a trade-off on the zone back and forth. Nightbloom, but having a little bit of target priority differential here as they're being pincer attacked from behind, having to change their focus, and with 10 seconds left, this could be anyone's game. Splatoon White needing to get it into overtime.
Anyone's game for sure. Their Splatoon White will at least guarantee overtime by the end of this. Now, 3 members are stationed up, but JP gets a critical pick there onto Fabi there, and that will be the decap going down, but there's going to be the fall needed to get the zone back. It looks like they're holding firm there with Mikugat on the side. JP is going to go down as well. 17 points remain. The Reef Slider flies through, not able to get anybody else, but they take 2 members out, and that's all the paint that they're going to need here, Zach. Splatoon White wrestles back. They get the lead in OT, and we are tied up in the set 1-1.
Yeah, we talked about how back and forth game 1 was, and with it being such a nice neutral one-zone map, and us transitioning to a little bit more strange, but still a nice one-zone map regardless, we saw a lot of the same activity take place, but this time just a little bit more at the end of the game in EaUCD White's favor. Just a great job of holding it down, needing a ton of passive painting, especially from this Nautilus. Pampers doing a great job of babysitting the zone. I don't have much of a better word for it than that, just making sure that the rest of their team, especially that Dreadringer and Foppy, who was finally able to get some of that nice chip damage off with the mint decap, were able to do their thing. And then, of course, the Octo Shot closing things out, rounding it out. Nightbloom doing a great job of not just being sort of that Slayer role that a weapon like that is akin to, but also the pretty strong painting capacity that it provides. And on a one-zone map where you're constantly going back and forth, it's going to edge out a team composition where 2 of the weapons in that roller and that Brella are just not going to have the output that you need in an overtime situation, despite, as you see there, the tri-strikes that were able to come out for Surging C.
And the crazy thing too is that it felt like Surging C kind of had something started there with that 10 Umbrella, which you got also known as Swisher for us here. It pretty much tried to build up any sort of that spacing that they needed with the Zuka and the rest of the team kind of following up. Everybody kind of just hiding behind that canopy or that shield, if you will, to see if they can get some of those openings. But it didn't look like it was going to happen, and that's honestly a great counterpick there too from EaUCD Splatoon White. They actually knew what they wanted to do with Marlin zones, especially the change over to the Dreadringer with that Reef Slider. I was wondering, Zach, if that was going to get a lot of value, and surely enough, even though, yeah, that Dreadringer from Jim was kind of a sitting duck at times, they were able to pull it off at the end of OT. We do have this counter pick that Surging C is dishing out. It's going to be ship-shaped tower control this go-around.
Yeah, if I'm reading the counterpick rules correctly, Splat Zones is off the table for the remainder of this one, as both teams have won on that mode and therefore are not able to pick it again. So we go now to the other offerings, this one being tower control. From the finals day 1, EaUCD Splatoon White with a 100% win rate on this mode, and another sort of unconventional map. I don't think it's quite as unconventional as Marlin Airport, but certainly not the Inkblot Art Academies of the world that we're used to seeing sort of in a tournament setting. So definitely interested to see what benefits this one brings for Surging C. They have a couple of weapons like the Big Bubbler special there that are going to be great for checkpoint situations. We've seen definitely a ton of tri-strikes thrown with Reckless Abandon. That's going to be a factor they're going to have to take into account right when they get to those checkpoints. And of course, the just short-range aggression that folks can bring either when they're looking right over the tower or sort of sharking on the sides of the tower. It's going to make for an ink bath as we see these two teams that are pretty aggressive with each other go head-to-head.
Both these teams are playing with almost the same level of aggression. What I've used in a certain tournament yesterday was pushing tempo. Was in this case they're looking for ways to navigate around them, as we do get to see the win rates here as well. And tower control, both teams kind of almost equaled out percentage wise. So I wonder what Surging C is basically going to be cooking up here with this counter pick. Foppy switching over to the Blaster. Not entirely surprised by that. Somewhat kind of surprised by the Dreadringer coming back. But for now, Mosk on Surging C. Tri-Slosher Nouveau's making its appearance here, Zach.
Yeah, so the difference is we're going to see the tactical or v-tactical or battle. We've had the pencil kind of consistently, and now we see both teams make use of it. And both teams making use of the Big Bubble, as you called out, that Blaster, being a great weapon not only for tower control with the weapon class itself, but also just having that special alongside, the one that we are going to see from the roller. If they had not gone down, it's just going to be that 10 Umbrella and the Trine of both staying alive as Nightbloom tries to get some of the remaining members there. They get marked, but it is a small price to pay. They're going to go back quickly. There's not too much of a pressing threat at the moment. A great early start for EaUCD.
Yeah, EaUCD now taking full advantage of this push here. They're able to eliminate a handful. I love the Reef Slider usage there too. Just trying to see if they can clear out that shield there from the tent, and it's able to do a lot of damage there. 2 members already going down. That snowball, this is a big snowball opportunity here for Splatoon White, and this is starting to get a little out of control here with some of these members being staggered out there, with members dropping left, right, and nearly center at this stage. It's just the Inkjet that already went down so fast, and this could be a very quick 100-0 here. This is going to be basically the big hold here that Surging C is going to need, but they lose so many members in that quick succession alone. Zach, we didn't even get enough time to breathe there. 2-1 already for Splatoon White.
Yeah, definitely different than anything we saw in those first 2 games. And my MVP there, just watching, was Foppy. That's a huge weapon change off, and that entire fight, my eyes were glued to that right-hand side of the screen where they're just taking the off angle as the towers get into that such tight checkpoint, and they are picking off and looking behind things like the Brella Canopy that were brought up, and anybody that was coming back from spawn. They were laser focused on the tower, and they did not have the time of day to worry about Foppy, who you see those shots taking place. They were able to get some pot shots there onto Miku, Swisher, as you said, into Konamic, and also onto Mask, who was one of the last to come back from spawn, as they were able to lock it down. Not just with that, but the celebratory Reef Slider from Jim on that Dreadringer to load it out. If you're Splatoon White, you have to be feeling great about that map as you take a set lead there, and now just 1 game win away from making it all the way back to Grand Finals.
Splatoon White kind of just riding that momentum, and they pretty much had a great hold of pretty much how that entire game played out there. Surging C still sticking true with what Swisher had with the Tenebrella and JP on that roller. Basically the two players in this case that I was having my eyes on throughout this set was how would this set progress with those two being in play there. Swisher almost effectively shut down with anything that they could have tried to pull off. And because it's ship-shaped tower control, things can go out of control in a hurry if you don't have all the members up at that point to stop that tower, and that's what we ended up seeing there. And now now you got another try here from Surging C. Okay, tower control didn't quite work. Now it's time for Barnacle and Dime Clan Blitz being the next one up. They're gonna play. This might work a little bit better with that Tenebrella that Swisher has. That's at least what my read is on that one, Zach.
Yeah, and taking a look at Clan Blitz as a vote, it looks like there's only 2 real possible combinations that Surging C might come out with. It's either going to be their 4th player coming out on the ballpoint Splatling, or they're going to bring that Trine of Voe back. Everything else pretty much remaining consistent, so you're not going to be making changes compositionally. It's changes to your game plan. You saw there, maybe that's just a mode-based scenario where Foppy comes in and absolutely dominates, gets those indirect or direct shots, and is able to clean you up. Maybe on this mode in particular, you have to worry about something else. Maybe you have to worry about a Dualies coming out. Maybe you have to worry about even a CRB graduating from a blaster from EaUCD Splatoon White. So definitely the same sort of things to keep in mind. We could even see something like a Splatana Wiper instead of a Mint Decav as a possible option. But the nice thing about Clan Blitz is it's a much more measured mode. You don't have this instant pressure after losing the first team fight on the objective itself. You have the time that teams need to spend getting neutral ground, finding clams, and setting up for that first real pop of the barrier.
And now we go back here into this Barnacle and Dime Clan Blitz, and you know they're to the first fight. They don't need to worry about it too much if it's end up getting lost. Not much in the way of Surging C's change. Foppy, all right, that blaster was going to be very specific from what it appears to be for that tower control map. Now they're back to that Mint Decap, and honestly, Splatoon White, they recognize, okay, we're up against a 10. We're just going to keep using this Dreadringer for what it's worth. So far, it got a lot of value right out of the way as 2 members already quickly going down here from Surging C. It's going to give themselves a lot of control of the map here to gather the clams they needed for the power clams to come in, but so far it looks like they're just gonna wait for the next fight that they're gonna be needing here. Swisher's just trying to fly through. There's that Zuka, by the way, that was getting popped. So is the Reef Slider. I think trying to expend everything onto Swisher on that left-hand side. Foppy's there trying to find Monster, which I think they finally do. And what looked like a very strong start for Surging C slows down a little bit, and both teams back to gathering clams here, Zach.
Yeah, and that's sort of the nature of the game. You try your hand at aggression. If it doesn't work out, you sort of back off. You're able to sort of continue the progress that you've built up toward getting to the objective, although Splatoon White having some trouble in that department just pampers 1 clam at their disposal as JP expends the big bubbler to make sure that their now power clam carrier is safe and prepared to make a push if needed. They're playing catch a little bit back and forth with Tapumasu, and now the tri-strikes come out to see if they can make an opening happen, but they had to worry about the Inkstorm in the backline. Nobody really at the front here until now. JP moving forward here on the roller, seeing if they can get Jim, and Jim not expecting it. They're going to fall. Konamic also going to expend the Inkjet going forward, so this may, Kyon, be the opportunity Surging C needs to make that first push.
Exactly that there too. Jim was, I think, raining up with the Reef Star before getting completely shut down, before it could even basically go room at that point. And at that stage, it opened the door for Surging C to basically move right in, and they pretty much just cashed in on all the claims that they could really need at that point in time. They're down to 56 points remaining. For Splatoon White, there's still definitely a lot of time to make this all count, but now you still have to deal with the same target in mind, which, well, in this case, Swisher is already taking out Jim there with that Zuga before running into a bomb, of course. Back into this fight here in mid. Both teams kind of know where they are at, points-wise for sure. With the bubble being used just to get any sort of ground, it looks like Splatoon White still trying to look for another attack there, but Jim going down on the other side. So does Foppy on that mid decap. Is going to help matters. And who else? Swisher using that canopy, trying to clear out the space. And it looks like Surging C got control of mid once again.
Yeah, I've really liked watching Surging C's gameplay. They've really controlled mid for the majority of this game. They've had the patience. They've not gone on their own, except for the roller, really. The roller is the only one, and that's sort of the nature of the weapon itself. They've really had somebody backing up their Splatling player, which has been great. Now in a 3v3 situation, the Inkstorm coming out for Splatoon White. Floppy trying to make use of the newfound room that they have here on this map as they also expend a Reef Slider, which has to be a little bit demoralizing when you're not able to find those picks, but they did get one on the Nautilus, so no Inkjet to worry about this time. Floppy trying to see if they can advance, but they get blocked off immediately by one of those tri-strikes, and they only have 6 clams, so they're forcing the aggression, which I like. They're getting the map control in mid, which I like, but they're also not really picking up so many of the clams. You can see a massive amount held by the current leader, Surging C, of 21. They look a lot more prepared despite not having control of mid until this very moment.
And you touched upon the point that I was wondering about is you can go with the same amount of aggression that you could need to basically build up the space for yourself. But the next part, especially in Clam Blitz, is gathering the clams that you need to get the push started. You had a great opportunity, but Splatoon White didn't have the power clam ready to go, which gave Surging C some time to buy themselves the space that they needed to need with the specials. There's that Zuga, by the way, being launched. Poppy's going to go down once again, and Splatoon White, great aggression, but losing ground with the lack of a push, and JP getting a clam spawn in, which gets one power clam in. There's a second power clam going in as well, and Masu cashes in on the rest. Down to 11 points remaining, 2 members going down. Foppy's going to slash the auto shot in half, and that lead just got bigger here, Zach, with a minute left to go, and now Splatoon White needs a lot more offense on this push if they can make this one count.
Yeah, despite everything that just went wrong for Splatoon White, Floppy might have just saved the game. If they had allowed that person to stay alive with the 3 clams that they held, this game may already be over. But now at least one final chance for EaUCD Splatoon White to move forward. They do lose their Dreadringer, but they have 12 clams at their disposal if they can avoid these shots from Konamic. A couple of subs coming out, including the Suction Bomb, and making sure they're grouping up as well. Nightbloom kind of in the back, protecting Floppy, ensuring that they can not only stay alive, but also get this tri-strike off as the opportunity arises. And now quite a large amount of clams for Splatoon White. 18, including Pampers holding onto that power clam. Surging C just barely holding onto their own power clam as they look to see if they can pop that barricade just to cement a possible win.
Yeah, now the win has to happen here for Surging C. The defense needs to start clamming down. There's that one power clam that's available. They also have the free clam back at base, and that was someone I believe picking up. They're gonna get the jumps in. Overtime guaranteed here. 24 clams in the tank here, if you will. Pampers is trying to build the space there. Surging C going on a full defensive front. The Inkjet's being used. The bubble's already there. Foppy has gone down. So does JP. And will they get this opening? Yes, there's 2 members going down. The respawns aren't gonna quite favor them, but now the next stage is to get the clamps in to extend the timer, and Foppy's able to possibly look for a few quick slays there before unfortunately going down by themselves. And this jump are all desperation jumps that they need, and that's gonna be that here, Zach, in what feels like a running theme so far in Division 2. On to Game 5 we go.
Yeah, this is what I love to see, the fact that all of these teams are so close in performance and prowess that each game is so important. Each of these sets is so close. And one of the most heartbreaking things there for Splatoon White, they had, I think, several power claims at their disposal, and that one nearly going away. I think Jim desperation moved to try and pick it up on that high ground, but that third well-placed tri-strike able to take them out. As you mentioned, the one last jump in not able to save anything, including that power claim that had already gone away. And I have to give commendations to a nice last second push, but you can't be waiting until the last second to make something happen. If you're Splatoon White, Surging C getting that great early push, getting a little bit further throughout the rest of the game, and that's all you really need. It's not a continuation game like it is for something like Tower Control, where you have those checkpoints and you have to continuously have somebody monitoring the objective. It's more mobile around the map. It's making use of the entire space that you have to find those clams, and even trading folks off to make sure that while one or two people are going back to get more clams, that somebody is there playing that frontline actor and building that strong defense, getting the picks that you need to keep that push going. Of course, overtime is going to make it nearly impossible to get to the number that Splatoon White needed to beat Surging C there. And as we saw in the early game, Surging C started off super strong. That composition, we basically predicted it was going to be one of two things. They did go for the Nautilus. They didn't really need the tactical, or they felt buffed up and as strong as they needed to be in that game 4, and they've got a ton of momentum going into this game 5.
Yeah, this game 5 is now going to start mattering there, and you've pretty much touched upon the big thing was you need to keep the timer basically up in overtime, and with such a huge deficit that Splatoon White was having to deal with there, the big thing is you got to start steadily getting control of the enemy territory, and just by that point just lost a lot of steam there when it starts to matter in. And now on to this game 5, and it's a map combination that I like to personally say is very uncommon throughout the landscape. They're Manta Maria Rainmakers, the choice here. Now, I can see where this is going to go if you're a Splatoon White, and for Surging C, a team that, 2 of the 4 weapons that they have dished out have pretty much been consistent across the maps. It's my big curiosity comes, where will JP find any value with the roller, whether it's flanking, and how will Swisher strike with the Tenebrella, of course, weaponizing the canopy that we saw from earlier.
Yeah, and for, their last choice, right? Do they keep the Nautilus because Manta Maria has those grates in the middle that you can sort of walk around on? Do you go with the Tri-Nouveau again? That's been their consistent choice for this mode specifically, is rounding out their composition with the Tacticooler. And if, EaUCD Splatoon White wants to bring that back and have something in their back pocket too to buff their team, then you have one on either side and it becomes a stalemate again. So this is going to be, I think, a super fitting map mode combination. It's been a chaotic set that's gone back and forth, and this map and mode could really lend itself either direction. First things first, of course, getting that checkpoint is going to be the most important. I see so many teams falling right on literally the wall of the pedestal before they can get the checkpoint, and that's effectively another team fight that you have to win there. And if you aren't able to get that checkpoint, allowing the enemy to come all the way back. So that's going to be priority number 1. But then anything can happen. I've seen so many late last 30-second, last 10-second overtime scrambles that this is going to be one of those games that's never truly over until we see that overtime or that 0 seconds come to a close.
And that's going to be the big thing for both these teams. The way they've been basically pushing that temple, trying to look for the opportunities that they are looking for, has kind of been showing throughout the rest of the set. And this game 5 here in Manta Maria Rainmaker is going to be pretty intriguing there as well. Obviously, as you noted with step 1 is the pedestal, and the question is, at least with the way I see the teams play, is do you opt for left or right? Obviously, the safe choice in most cases could be that left push there. Some teams may opt to go bold, try to throw the other team. Of course, they're going on the right hand side, and there's a few, I feel like, train of thoughts that both teams could really do in that situation there. It looks like both teams are basically all set and ready to go here in this pivotal game 5 and losers finals. This has been a fantastic set to watch from start to finish here. And here's the Octobrush, there's the Wellstring, and it's not just your regular Nautilus here, Zach. It's that Nautilus with the triple splashdown in play. And Surging C, one last change, it's Mask with the Tri-Nouveau coming up.
Boy, so much to digest here. Jim going to be making the change over to that other Dreadringer, which is going to have the Wave Breaker. So on a large map like this one, trying to utilize the special that's going to call out where your opponents are. Then you have the Octobrush. This has such an amount of verticality to the map. Some high ground. You see that huge obstacle in the middle. That's going to be great for flying around on that Zipcaster. And then the Wellstring. Unfortunately, the Zipcaster user going to be falling here as the Wave Breaker is going to be online. Beacon's potentially huge for such a large map like this one, that it's still so tough to explore fully if you can place the beacons in the right spot, which it looks like Splatoon White's going to need right now as Surging C gets out to a strong start.
Strong start for sure here from Surging C as they're basically looking to control any sort of space around the pedestal there. But there's the Octobrush. Flopping from the side gets a huge pick that prevents the first checkpoint from being cashed in. But they will have to look for the second fight here that they need to hold on to. That they take out Mask there. There's the Octobrush, and that's 2 picks right out of the gate there. Floppy takes 2 out, 3 members go down, and what almost seemed like it was a certain checkpoint clear there, it is not going to be the case, and Surging C is going to have to settle with just the 65 points remaining on that push. And right now, EaUCD Splatoon White, they're opting for that reset. They're trying to get control of not just the street here in Manta, but anything around that pedestal coming up there. I like this decision here from Splatoon White.
That was huge for Foppy. I mean, that's got to be larger than 90% of the Zipcaster uses that I've seen, even in tournament play. They are going to go down here early, though, but I like the aggressiveness that EaUCD is coming out with. They get the trade there with the Ultra Stamp, so that's going to give them at least one thing there, but they got to watch out for the objective, which does get popped by that Tri-Strike. Foppy, who is back down and is going to allow their teammates to jump to them, is trying to hold things down up top. They see Tapumasu backed off into a corner, but Foppy just not with the range to control it, so kind of into a neutral game, but they've gotten a couple picks. That was the Trinovo and the Splat Roller going down, so the only specials that could be online would come from the Tenebrella here, as well as the Octo Shot, which does come online now. The beacon is up, and Wishiwashi has that hammer throw at the ready. I'm not sure if they're going to opt for even just stomping through mid. They might try to use it to break the Rainmaker, but watch JP here with the flank, trying to see if they can break anybody down. Wishiwashi might be the first victim there, and they get not a full hit. They actually aren't able to get them until much later, so effectively a trade there as Tapumasu is going to make the next push.
I feel like JP was just so sad because I think they also ran out of ink when they tried to go for the last slash there, and that was almost a guaranteed pick there onto the Wellstring is just not going to be the case, and that was just a little unfortunate at the exact timing there. JP, that was a great idea with the flank, but just could not get it to materialize, and now it's Splatoon White looking to see if they can cash on this opportunity there with JP going down on top of it, and they're gonna go for the right hand side there, but Surging C shifting gears, realizing, all right, they're gonna go trying to make the jump at this stage. We're gonna try to defend this as much as we can, but it looks like there might be a few split priorities here, trying to cross Surging C from left to right, and from what we're seeing right now, Splatoon White still trying to play this one a little patiently here. I do not blame him in this scenario. Jim's trying to strike with that Dread Ringer there. Wishiwashi, I believe, got the pick on the top of Masu on top of it. Maska's going to go down as well, and that is the first checkpoint cleared already, Zach. About 1:35 to go, and 2 members down for Surging C.
Yeah, 1:40 into the game, one team finally has the advantage. I don't really consider either team being advantaged until that first checkpoint has gone down. We've seen multiple attempts either way, but Splatoon White is the first team to actually crack the code. Surging C getting that pop on the Rainmaker barrier, neither team having an edge, although Surging C with 3 specials at the ready, which is going to start with the Tacticaler. Now the other 2 come out, but Swisher is going to fall as Jim waits to see if anybody's going to pick up this despawning Rainmaker, and it will be Splatoon White. They're not only going to pick it up, but they're going to have an escort getting all the way to the 30s and now the 20s. They get on top of the actual grading there, but they had a couple of defenders for Surging C stop that push. But a huge steal for what Surging C was hoping maybe would just be an easy reset back to mid. And with less than a minute left, that's a huge advantage for Splatoon White.
That was bold, making the jump up to the grates there and trying to cash it in that direction, then jump scared by Swisher from the other side there and drops that Rainmaker, but more importantly, building a much bigger lead for themselves. And for Surging C, now the next question has to become, how do you get this push down to 19 points remaining? Effectively, almost one last push left to go in the tank there with 20 seconds left to go. JB's going to use the roller at this stage, trying to look for the picks, trying to move up ahead. Doesn't look like they can clear anything so far though, but they do take out Jim on that Dread Ringer. There are 9 seconds left and still counting. JB using that bubble. They do take 2 members out, and now the Rainmaker's being used. They will get the first checkpoint, but now the second step has to be clearing out that Rainmaker once more and being the team to pick it up. But it looks like that knowledge is still there. It is gonna be 2 members going down again for Splatoon White, but there is a 2-for-2 trade, and the overtime timer is still going strong. Bobby's trying to go there from the flank, and the Rainmaker has to move forward. Tabumasu is cut short, 2 points short of taking lead, or 3 points for that matter, and that was a tense finish here, Zach. It's going to end with Splatoon White advancing to Grands.
Gotta be an amazing set to go down, especially for Division 2. Just an incredible back and forth between these two teams. EaUCD Splatoon White clinching it and stopping a drastic overtime push there from Surging C. So much back and forth there between these teams. I love the way that they were able to pretty quickly get that checkpoint early on, right at the start of overtime, but an amazing amount of defense there, a desperation effort there by the Octobrush to make sure that they could get just enough paint on to ensure that they couldn't get past the 20 point. We see again a clip of this unfortunate moment there from JP. You gotta wonder if that splat could have turned any of the tide there, but just such a well-rounded and unused composition relatively, with things like that Dreadringer and the Wellstring being huge, shutting down with the shots there from that Nautilus, the sort of shorter range composition that Surging C brought to the table, and found answers for things that we had questions about in the early portion of this set. How do they get around the canopy? How do they avoid the big bubbler that the roller's going to have consistently? And you know Surging C only changes maybe one weapon per game, so it's not a matter of what they're going to bring, it's we know what they like to play. How do we get around that? Foppy, one of the MVPs of this set, not only with the stop there with the assistance of their teammate, but with some amazing early picks, including that beautiful 2K on the Zipcaster.
Zach, I'm gonna use a little known analogy here. This was almost a line change of weapons from games 3 to 4, basically speaking. This is a comp that this was a wholesale composition change. All 4 weapons, if I'm not mistaken, were swapped out, and even the Dreadringer was actually the Dreadringer with that Wavebreaker, and the Nautilus with the triple splashdown, and that was incredible in the last minute plus how Splatoon White was able to get that to work, and more importantly for Foppy there too, that 2K from earlier there, the clutch pick at the end. I feel like a few seconds late could have spelled a completely different result there. Surging C3 would have been Surging C3 too. There were a lot of theoreticals there, but Splatoon White basically clamped the defense down when it started to matter there, and there was almost so many things to digest from this set alone, that, and especially that game 5, that, man, I feel like that was a classic already.
Yeah, and so much of today in Division 2 has been 3-2, starting with EaUCD Splatoon White in the very first round, going up against the second seeded That's Dangerous. That was a 3-2 victory. Then they get knocked into losers with a 3-2 loss to Octos and Squids Unite. They come down, they're able to go to what is the max in the best of 3, that game 3 against RIT Orange Kois, beat them 2-1, and then have a little bit of an easier time of it, at least on the scoreboard, ironically against the number 1 seeded Towson Tigerfish, and then an absolute nail biter of a set there against the team that just barely lost out in winners finals to Octos and Squids Unite, which now sets up the beautiful grand finals matchup of Octos and Squids Unite against EaUCD Splatoon White in another best of 5.
You know what's interesting here, Zach, is every round, if I'm reading this correctly, had a best of 5 that went all 5 games, and Splatoon White was involved in 2 of them. And of course, winners finals that the lovely Rissa and Fusion covered earlier today was Octo and Squids and Surging C with a 3-2 as well. We got to cover the losers finals, going all the way through with 5 games, and it feels like the way all the teams really in just Division 2, not just Splatoon White and Surging C, everybody's been playing crazy good so far throughout. Yes, you do see the handful of sweeps that we see there, but this has just been a very close Division 2 circuit finals that we have seen today, and I think both teams are feeling like they're not going to have to waste any time. They're feeling like we're getting ourselves ready to go for grand finals with Octos and Squids, United Scarlet versus EaUCD Splatoon White. They're setting the stage for grand finals here, Zach.
I'm really impressed with CCA in general. Just looking at even the qualifiers, the 5 that took place, how many teams bounced up and down between divisions and had such drastic placement differences that were somehow able to work out to an amount of qualifier points that tangibly put these teams together and culminated in our top 8 today. But looking at these matchups here, we have quite a large discrepancy in favor of Octos and Squids United here. Stronger on Rainmaker, stronger on Zones, stronger on TC, and albeit just barely stronger on Clambliss. Of course, we're going to be starting as we have been with the different Splat Zones maps. We're going to be starting Splat Zones Mako Mart, I believe, but we do have a couple of things that we have to get to first, Kyon, a couple of ad reads, I believe.
Yes, we do have a few ad reads. We're going to start with the merch shop. Oh my goodness, the CCA has merch. This is incredible. You asked for it. The CCA bought it back. The CCA merch shop is once again open for business. Browse both new and familiar sticker designs, as well as a new CCA Circuit t-shirt. The shop is open until January 15, so order today. And of course, I believe the link has been posted, yes, in the chat at the cca-shop.fourthwall.com here, Zach. This, hey, you know what? Part of me is liking some of the CCA merch that we see in stores. That's awesome.
It looks beautiful. I mean, definitely pick up if you want to support CCA or you just like the look of it. Pick up these t-shirts and stickers and things. And that's not all. We also have some more information with the CCA Circuit action heating up. We are very excited to announce that Asus ROG is the sponsor of the CCA Circuit. Their eSprouts initiative is giving the CCA Circuit prizing support to our top teams for the season, and we are happy to have them join on as our prizing sponsor. You can find out more about their Elite Rewards program by typing !ASUS, ASUS, in CCA Twitch chat. Thank you so much to Asus ROG for their support of the collegiate Splatoon scene.
Yeah, thank you so much, Asus, for sponsoring that here, the CCA Circuit. This has been a wonderful CCA Circuit tournament that has spanned through so many different qualifiers here as well, and leading up to our CCA Circuit finals weekend here. So again, huge shout outs to Asus ROG for taking this one through. And man, it feels like with the way that this entire CCA Circuit has gone here, Zach, it feels like every team kind of just building themselves up and down, either through different divisions or just within their own. It has been a wonderful journey for a lot of the teams to watch here, especially with the two teams that we have here today. Again, Octos and Squids from the Ohio State University and EaUCD Splatoon White from the University of California, Davis. So, Zach, Grand Finals in Zones Ramen to start. Of course, a very familiar Zones mode for Game 1. Can't go wrong with any of it, but Ramen will be the opener for this. And we saw from the previous one, EaUCD Splatoon gotta be riding the high, and Octos and Squid from Winter Finals will have to shake off a little bit of rust, I can only imagine, but I'd imagine both teams are probably set and ready to go here for Grands as soon as we can.
Yeah, definitely not as neutral as Hagglefish, I think, but still a very fun Zones map to watch. There's a lot of verticality differences. There's a lot of different ramps that you can play on, walls that you can hang around on. We see lots of different weapon types excel here. Dualies that can sort of fly around and have exceptional range, or, things that run Crab Tank, or obviously Tri-Strike, which we see a ton of these days. Even Big Bubbler that you can use either on the zone or ahead of the zone if you want to make it more difficult for folks to come out of spawn. You have a couple of main options. When you're getting out of spawn, you can either take the low ground and try to either go up one of those ramps or that wall right behind where the zone is going to be, or you can take that sort of L shape, the 90-degree angle turn directly down that sort of smallish hallway into the zone itself. Neither are exactly safe. You have to be very cognizant of where your enemy is setting up and whether they've had time to build up any of those specials, but definitely some fun options to be had. Some flanking ability as well. You can get around sort of on that right-hand side and sort of take that backwards flank if you want to, but just being a one-zone map and not the largest of the one-zone maps to my knowledge, this one is going to be tough if you lose control. I've seen plenty of teams on this map and this mode specifically for this map get locked out and barely have any pushes of their own.
And now the ultimate question for both teams: the way this Ramen Zones is gonna be laid out here. We saw Splatoon White from earlier. No strangers to just getting any weapons that they can use to open things up. The big question now for Octos and Squid United Scarlet is: you've made it all the way here in Grand. Now you just gotta shake. Now you've been ready to go and ready to jam. Now the question is, how is this going to play out? Which, for the record, we will see Splatoon White on the outside. Other side will be Octos and Squid. United Scarlet in this scenario. And we do see the Forge Pro. I think we saw the Forge Pro from earlier from TJ as well. There's that custom range blaster, excuse me, the Zimmy F and the pencil. That's what Autos and Squid is going to be dishing out. And Splatoon White, I noted before earlier, Nautilus with the triple splashdown, but I believe they're first sighting with dualies, at least from what we have covered so far.
Yeah, so several of the specials that we kind of hypothesized are making their way here. The obvious one is the Tactical that's going to be thrown out now from Splatoon White. The other ones, the Big Bubbler coming out. We have the Zimmy representing that. And also, so interesting to see a Forged Splattershot Pro. I know that's something that, Octos and Squids United Scarlet does like to run, but it's not necessarily a massive competitive pick. And then on the opposite side of things, we do have the potential Crab Tank, I believe, coming from those hero dualies. As we see that aforementioned Forge just rushing forward. Octos and Squids United already past the halfway mark, and they are cooking thus far.
They are cooking for sure here. Autos and Squid, United Scarlet moving right along. And now 4 members moving up front. They're trying to prevent Splatoon White from finding an opening so far there. This could be the aforementioned lockout that we could be seeing here. Maybe no counterattack. I take that back here, Zach. They do get the counterattack. They're aided with the Crab Tank from Splatoon White, and everybody's going to have to retreat for the hills here. EaUCD Splatoon White, they do stop the push from continuing on, but down to 16 points remaining. This is still ramen zones. A lot of things can happen with the way this map mode does play out at times, and we do get to see this duel kind of playing out here with 2 members going up for Splatoon White. Maybe a good chance for Autos and Squids to try to move up ahead, which they do. They do get the zone cap back.
Yeah, it's almost as if, watching teams play on the back foot when they're playing sort of within their spawn, having to play more defensively is a better look at a team than just when they have so much of an advantage, right? We got to see a great opening start from Octos and Squids United, but it was great to see them and how they perform when they're sort of backed off near their spawn area. They responded very well. They were able to get that Booyah Bomb off onto the zone and lock it down so that basically only 1 member was left alive here for Splatoon White. Poppy taking the sort of sharking on the wall angle to see if they can push forward. They are going to expend both the Bubbler and the Tactical within that zone. Of course, Big Bubbler not going to be invulnerable as the Tactical is, so it'll go down pretty handily to that Booyah Bomb being thrown out from the Forge. But Splatoon White coming back, and they didn't have a massive penalty to chew through like Octos and Squids United did with that 64, which got just to 56. So a great recovery by Splatoon White. If they can hold on and build their specials now, they may have a shot.
They may have a shot for sure, but there are 3 specials that Autos and Squids were ready to dish out there. The bubble was actually just used in the nick of time, and all the specials are being invested into this zone, and it only forces the neutral so far there. There's the Crab Tank from Night Blue, using it in 2 different directions, but it's already kicked out of the Crab Tank. 2 members have gone down on both sides even. Pampers is the ones trying to protect themselves inside the bubble. This mess of a fight, so to speak. Everything that Octos and Squids invested so far has been for naught as Splatoon White takes lead back. They do lose 2 of them to make that 3 for themselves, and it will be Octos and Squid. They will get the zones back. Splatoon White gets lead back at a critical time.
Yeah, Pampers on that Nautilus really living up to the moniker of the anchor player, holding it down in a situation where just a couple drops of ink could have easily swayed it over to Octos and Squids Unite, and that could have retained the lead for them when it was 26-16. And now we see some aggression as a trade comes out between the Zimmy and those hero dualies. A couple specials come out. The first one is Pampers on that triple splashdown. They're not going to encompass the entirety of the zone, and they will fall to the pincer attack from the Zimmy, as well as TJ Buddy, who will throw in and wait on the Booyah Bomb to come out. It looks like they may have enough time to get the lead before even needing to throw it, just throwing it right down to where the mint decav is going to be, and they just won't have enough time. It was a little bit back and forth, maybe more so than the early game would have told you. But from the winner's side of the bracket, Octos and Squids United going to knock out here in game 1.
Nearly scary there, honestly, from Octos and Squids. Probably a few cents of panic, if you will, with Splatoon White able to wrestle lead at a critical time, but able to clamp everything down. I still keep looking back with every special that was invested just to get the zones back and not able to do so. The next step would then become, how do we get this one back? How do we get it back when it starts to matter here? Splatoon White, Splatoon White had the right ideas for sure. The Nautilus was in the right location location at the right time for Pampers in that sense. But Splatoon White just didn't have enough left in the tank to go. Octos and Squids able to get that zones back there. There was that Buoy Bomb that was there, and then Splatoon White was able to get this one back there for sure. So a little bit of back and forth. You know that there too. The early game would have told you otherwise, but it was a nice little recovery there from Splatoon White, just not able to finish the job. And Octos and Squids didn't really waste any time at all to take game one.
Yeah, I was really interested to see, especially, the CRB pick come out. Their main composition from Finals Day 1 had the Slosher as well as the Tenatech instead of the CRB and Forge, respectively. So it was great to kind of see that combination come out. You don't think of the Kraken Royale as being something that's really tuned for Splat Zone specifically, but it had great effect, and they were able to use the offensive edge that the CRB can provide very well. And now going to Marlin Airport zones once again. It was quirky when we saw it once, Kyon. Is it as quirky the second time around that we're seeing it?
No, I wouldn't say it's quirky now, because this is Splatoon White with this counter pick. And we saw we're going to go back to losers final here real quick too, because we saw this exact counter pick, I believe, from Splatoon White, if my memory serves me correctly there too. That Marlin Zones was the counter pick. This was, and I was wondering, is this a counter pick to necessarily counter what Surging Sea had? Apparently the answer was no. It was actually just their all-around counterpick that they had ready to go for themselves. I feel like the question then becomes are they gonna be dishing out something similar, or are they gonna try to change things up to now counter what Octos and Squids has been dishing out so far? We saw the first saves of what Octos and Squids were dealing with, especially the Forge Pro, which you don't normally see a lot in the competitive circles there. Wondering how they're gonna handle everything else on top of it here too, as both teams waiting for just one player to ready up. This counter pick is going to be intriguing to see if Splatoon White can capitalize and tie this one up again.
Yeah, if we see the Forge again, on paper, it's a very scary weapon. It's got a great kit with the Suction Bomb and the Booyah Bomb. It has that 3-shot splat, I believe, potential, and it's got a decent amount of range. So it really is, on paper, just a monster of a weapon. It's just the actual mechanics of said weapon just don't lend itself to seeing much play. But it's something they're going to have to factor in now. If it makes a return appearance, that's going to be very scary to go up against. We'll see what it looks like now. We are going to see the advent again of the Dread Ringer. The Forge does make a return. And now the Custom Blaster, no range element coming out from Zoe on the side of Octos and Squids United.
Yeah, going away from the range, but I feel like that's the only flexible pick that they made there in that side. Splatoon White, welcome back Dreadbringer from Jim. We saw that one get a lot of value, but this time they're not dealing with the tent. They're dealing with basically some unorthodox picks, if you will, with the Forge Pro being the ones that we have our eyes on there. As the Booyah Bomb, as we called it out, was being thrown in there, but the rest of the team going 2 down there is going to have to slow things just a tiny bit. And EaUCD Splatoon White is still playing with the same amount of aggression that we kind of saw from the previous set alone, continuing this up-tempo game that we're seeing here in Marlin Zones, looking for an opportunity to lock out Octos and Squid from pushing up ahead here, Zach.
You talk about tempo. How about momentum that Splatoon White is holding on to here, as they feel very adept at this map, locking it down. The 2 remaining members of Octos and Squids United actually getting quite a bit of value, as Pampers and Floppy will fall to the triple splashdown. The other special online coming out, the Booyah Bomb, is going to at least take control away from Splatoon White. And now finally, after a bull rush from Splatoon White up to 27, it's now Octos and Squids United's turn to hang out on the opposing fan and see if they can get some picks here. Floppy looking to see if they can get back into those great positions that they were allowed due to all the map control that they had, but had to expend this time the multiple specials. Now they have the big bubbler, and of course the tri-strikes coming out as well from Nightbloom to see if they can lock stuff out. Just a quick stop of control before it gets taken right away again by Octos and Squids United. So the pendulum swings, and it swings hard, as now Octos and Squids looks like the stronger team.
Yeah, this is almost a complete reversal of the script here, with Octos and Squids now the one wrestling back and able to get the lead here. Surely now the question is for EaUCD Splatoon White. They got 2 specials. Can they make this one count? Triple splashdown, I think it was just used for a zoning, but they do lose Floppy on that decap from earlier. The bubble's being used. Here's the triple splashdown. It's being used on the side, but they do take 2 critical members out and gives themselves a chance to fight back. This time now having to cut through a lot of the penalty points, but they also won that fight handily there with 3 members going down on top of it, and now they try to play it through the same gameplay that they had from earlier. The blue bomb being chucked in, I think just trying to give themselves some room to work with here. Jim's kind of lurking large at this side. The Zimmy's gonna go down, but so did Pampers from the side. Here's the Reef Slider. Didn't really need it at this stage as the rest of the team helped support them, and Zach, they're gonna be out the penalty points here shortly.
You know, I will say the desperation throw on the Tacticooler, knowing that it's invincible, could turn out huge if Octos and Squids United is able to get over there. I see Okam, who's already trying to get that pick right now. We see the Zimmy pushing forward here, seeing if they can take advantage of it. And Splatoon White avoids getting a penalty pick here. They're about to take over the lead, and they do. The Tri-Strikes dissuading the members of United Scarlet from getting close. And after a bit of a scare and a fantastic early start, Splatoon White is going to come roaring back and tie this setup at 1.
Tying the setup 1-1. It feels very familiar for Splatoon White and probably familiar for Octos and Squids from earlier here today. And the big turning point I felt like with the way that was going was the 3 down after the zones cap, and then the Reef Slider throwing it onto the left side where I think the cooler was being used. Wondering if this was going to be the moment that Splatoon White was going to wrestle back, and just surely enough, is able to take that one all the way home with I think a few critical members from Octos and Squids United Scarlet going down on top of it. We're seeing replays, of course, with this initial push. Just a strong push overall from Splatoon White. It was a huge scare later on, as this was the one I was wondering about, was if the triple splashdown really did matter at the end of it, and surely enough it did. And this entire desperation maneuver of just trying to get the zones back, and I think that triple splashdown took out 1, and then 2 members were kind of getting stuck in between, and Splatoon White was just not looking back ever since the 2 down that just ballooned into the KO that we saw. And Splatoon White, credit them, they know how to play that Marlin Zones counter pick really well.
It's a strange composition that Splatoon White is running, but there are tenets in their composition that are so common to see, just not on the weapons that you're used to seeing them. Maybe the one exception to that is the Octo Shot, which has so many different variations that are essentially the same thing, but the main thing to consider is that triple tri-strike, I should say, is coming down so frequently in these zones games. And I guess thankfully or unthankfully, we're not going to be seeing zones anymore, as they can't counterpick into it with both teams having won there once. So now we're going to look to see what the mode change will bring to us. Will it be something more consistent like a tower control, or what you're seeing on screen here, something slightly more chaotic like a Rainmaker? We have a pretty common Rainmaker map though taking place for game 3 here. It's Humpback Pump Track.
This is as chaotic as it can possibly get with how condensed this map is in general, and the way that we see Splatoon White play, and Octos and Squids United Scarlet as well playing there too, with Octos and Squids kind of centering around the Forge Pro and Splatoon White, waiting for Jim to just come in from game 2 and see if they can dish out that Dreadringer pick with that Reef Slider. It's going to be the big question. Now, this is kind of interesting. If I recall correctly, yes, from the last set, if the Rainmaker was played was in that game 5 where Jim was dishing out the Dreadringer with the Wavebreaker in this situation. So I wouldn't be shocked per se here, Zach, if that Wavebreaker Dreadringer does come back. Now this could be a lot of chaos that could easily unfold between the both teams. You could be seeing a lot of brawls happening between both of them, and this could be what we would be seeing here right now. Game 3 coming up here, both teams tied up 1-1. We look at these weapons. Hey, this looks really familiar here, Zach. It's the Game 5 comp that Splatoon White has. Octos and Squids countered with a Wellstring of their own, just of a different variety.
Gosh, yeah, the Wellstring v Wellstring matchup, one custom, one not. The Ultra Stamp on one side and the Wavebreaker on the other. I like the just ability to be able to spot out your opponents with both of what that kit has to offer. You have the point sensor and you have the Wavebreaker. It's a circular map, but it's deceptively large. It's kind of broken down into different quadrants, so it doesn't always feel large at times, especially because the Rainmaker path is pretty straightforward. You'd go straight, and then you take kind of a 45-degree angle left, and you're basically a straight shot away from that second pedestal. But it's all still about making it to that first checkpoint. You can see it very easily from this sort of king of the hill layout in the middle of the ground. And Splatoon White, yet another strong start here. They force a 3-down situation despite the use of the Tacticooler, and they have a clear shot potentially at this first checkpoint.
Just for a side thing, I kind of love that the Ultra Stamp was used just to absolutely be sure that that first pedestal is claimed, or the first checkpoint, if you will, is done. But there is the 3 down here. Autos and Squid's gonna be the one to pick up this Rainmaker now, and this was a very quick push there. The 3 down was gonna Sploon it the other direction, and Pampers by the way going down as well. These could be very quick checkpoints cleared from both teams with about less than a minute and 15 to go. Yes, it will be. So both teams without checkpoints the rest of the way, and the way this map is super laid out, this could be a very intriguing brawl that we can see from start to finish there. Rainmaker picked up on Okamu's, and they are trying to throw out a few lob shots of that Rainmaker, if you will. Wishy-washy's there trying to defend as much as they could. Here's Poppy with that Ultra Rush that was able to deliver so much value. The Rissa jumps in, not able to get Okamu, but finally does by the end of it. And this bit of a silly fight here, so to speak. 2 down for Autos and Squid, 1 down for Splatoon White. It's just Autos and Squid with a very marginal lead.
I'm gonna be honest, this is just the most normal day on Rainmaker Humpback Hump Track.
Yep.
The chaos that you might see here, it's common, and basically the finals for any game that I see here is never usually more than 20 points. It's so easy just to swim that straightforward path. The one trick is you're basically being watched, but from the spawn drop down at that point, we see the Wellstring going down in mid as Poppy is going to get a pick and then fall themselves to the end zap that we haven't really talked about. A weapon that's so adept at painting. It's got that high rate of fire and it can build up that tacticaler so quickly there. They're going to be back in the action. Also has that suction bomb for those immediate detonations. And then we have, of course, the actual sought out wave breaker in the middle. They're trying to see if they can find anybody from Splatoon White. Wishy-washy, at least, is marked with that Rainmaker. They're going to try and carve a path for themselves, but Zoe bearing down on them with the Kraken Royale is going to lock things down. And despite losing 2, Squids United might not be in the worst position here.
No, definitely not, with the fact that nobody could really pick up this Rainmaker, not even anywhere past the first checkpoint by themselves, only just moving a few mere points from Autos and Squids. And you know, it's just a very normal day that's kind of just playing out right now, but even more so, just a lot of time basically taken off the clock so far, and with both teams kind of stuck into a very equal game, if you will. This is gonna come down to not just a few team fights. Who will get the most advantage out of it? As Jim's gonna be poked there with the wave breaker there, they will know where 2 members from Splatoon White will be. So the question ultimately is gonna become from both teams with the assignment at hand is how can we win this team fight and able to race that one down towards the goal line, and that's going to be the bigger question. Ultra Sam just short by maybe a few inches, if you will, and both teams are still trying to find an opening.
Yeah, the patience from Okamu here, just kind of firing those pot shots over the sniper perch on this map, and now they're pushing forward. They get the lane. They get all the way up to 31, and it may not be over yet. 3 down for Splatoon White. Octos and Squids United still hanging around. We're going to have the Booyah Bomb coming out from TJ Buddy, seeing if they can get anybody dropping down. Jim is going to fall. Gets 2 there on Poppy as well, looking for the second, and they do get up to 12, so a big lead gain there in the final minute of play. Splatoon White might be able to get this one popped at some point, but there's still a couple members of Octos and Squids United hanging around.
This is a very deceptive point remaining on top of it too, but that's a strong lead for Autos and Squid United Scarlet. But this is also Humpback Pump Track Rainmaker. It is such a condensed map that a couple team fights going super wrong for Autos and Squids, and Splatoon White can race back the other direction. But the problem right now with where that Rainmaker is that it's still kind of stuck at their base. They could be building towards a reset here at this stage. Everybody's trying to race up towards middle in this hill, if you will. The Wellstring's gonna go down from Autos and Squids. So far, Rainmaker is going to reset. Now they're going to have to start popping this one. But they have a Booyah Bomb and a Kraken at the ready from Autos and Squid. See if they can make this one count. Is someone going to pick up this Rainmaker? Yes, they will. The guaranteed overtime is going to be there. 2 specials are online. The Autos and Squids are being patient with these specials there. I think they're just waiting to see when is it the right opportunity for them to strike here. Zach, this is still very patient for Splatoon White.
Overtime now, no checkpoint for Splatoon White to contend with. Pampers being very patient, but they're about to hit the halfway mark of their time. Tacticaler is out. Wavebreaker's also out. The 3rd special Booyah Bomb coming through, but but Pamper's able to avoid it. That's a 3-down situation, but they have the Kraken Royale at the ready. Are they going to be able to tame them with the Stamp here and nothing doing? Can Zoe find the pick? And they do at the last second there. Gets around. Their Kraken was about to run out, but with one of the final dashes of the last player left alive for Octos and Squids United, they stop a last-second overtime push from EaUCD Splatoon White and take a 2-1 lead in this grand final set.
These have been nail-biters so far here, Zach. Every game it feels like it's going to come down to the wire in some form, whether it's just by points made or by the timer itself. We take a look at, of course, a few initial replays here. This was the lead that, this was the 3-down, rather, from Octos, that Octos and Squid had to incur that gave up the checkpoint, and then a very quick response from the other end. And we kind of saw this incredible stalemate, really, from both these teams. Nobody really finding an avenue to move forward until right around, let's say, right around less than a minute and 20 to go with that 2-down situation from Splatoon White. The thing I was intrigued about that I wanted to keep an eye on was, I believe, if the cooler was available, because that was correct, was ready, or if the CRB was alive the entire time. But it looked like in this case, it might have been the CRB that was able to build up that special once again. I think they did go down without that cooler, but that build up of the special was really smart from Zoe there too. They realized, all right, we're 3 down. You got to get that Kraken. You got to chase that Rainmaker right now, and that's what Zoe was able to successfully do here, Zach.
Yeah, and a weapon that is not known by any stretch of the imagination for painting, for building it special up quickly. So that is a weapon where you have to be very cognizant of your usage of that special. So hanging on to it just in case something like that happened. They do lose all of their teammates in the final seconds of what ended up being that match's overtime, but able to secure and pop that invulnerable Kraken Royale. That's a massive play in a game that could have gone either way near the end of it. And this whole set has really been that theming around it. It really could be going either way, which is why, equal chances that we see a bracket reset as we do Octos and Squids United locking it down. And in fact, I think Splatoon White wants to run it back, because we're going to see Rainmaker again, and we'll be going back to something else that we saw in Losers Finals, and that is the map Manta Maria.
The crazy thing about this, Zach, is it was literally a clutch play from Bobby in the Octobrush against Surging C that basically determined it for them. And this is a pick that could be bold, or they recognize, all right, if we know how to play around this Rainmaker objective and in a less chaotic setting, per se, a little bit more methodical, if you will, is can we make this one count in Manta Maria Rainmaker? And this, we would not be surprised if this is literally the same Octobrush Wellstring centered comp that we saw from not just the previous game, but also from that Losers Final Game 5 there as well. This shouldn't come as a surprise. The question for Octos and Squids is, it's gonna be, how do you deal with something can you deal with something a second time in a row that could very well be as consistent as they come? And this, I'm wondering what Octos and Squids are going to do here coming into the game 4, where of course winning this one, and they win the circuit finals for them.
Yeah, it was a shock seeing the composition that they brought in that Losers Finals game, but now we've had a bit of time to adjust to it. So not only do they have things like the Wellstring, but we saw the swap off the Dreadringer over to the Dreadringer D with that Squid Beacon and the Wavebreaker. So spotting out members of the opposing team from basically anywhere that they allocate. It could be sort of that inkable area just past the grading on the high ground. It could be right where the checkpoint is. Lots of different great sort of tight hallway opportunities for you to spot out anybody that could either be sharking or just waiting behind the wall on that sort of 90-degree angle behind the checkpoint. And the beacons too, the ability, if we see that weapon again, to jump into what is a very long linear map and cut a lot of that space out with having to jump directly to a teammate. I know stealth jump is so popular still after all these years, but having that extra little advantage of not needing to put a teammate potentially in danger is also a huge bonus. But Octos and Squids United, they feel very satisfied with their composition for the most part. They've really been enjoying the Zimmy. They've brought the pencil consistently, so they have the tactical buff. Things like the NZAP coming out too, if they don't want to run the pencil necessarily. They've got things in their back pocket that lend itself to maintaining a very similar composition over and over again. The one change we could see is, do they want to bring some kind of blaster, or do they want to have maybe a more ranged or faster firing option? Only one way to find out. It's game 4 here, game point for Octos and Squids United. Splatoon White trying to take it to a game 5.
And Splatoon White will need to find the answer against Atos and Squid United Scarlet here. We take a look at the weapons. Now this shouldn't come as too much of a surprise. I think it's actually going to be a dual proper well strings this time. So Okamu, I believe, is flexing over to that vanilla well string with the Ultra Stamp there as well. And by the way, this is just your custom blaster with the triple splashdown. So just a few flexible changes, if you will, from Atos and Squids. Now the question becomes, with the comp that basically got Splatoon White the ticket to Grand Finals, if they can repeat the same success and force that game 5, only time will tell, as everybody's going to be doing around mid, I think, just trying to find any coverage that they have. There is a flying Ultra Stamp that's only just going to hit the grates as it stands here. A few seconds down the clock so far, and both teams are just playing this one very patiently until Pampers finds an opening, and it takes out the Forward Pro and TJ's end, and they may have given themselves a little bit of room to work with here, Zach.
Yeah, Pampers says, I have no care for your patience. I have a triple splashdown, and I'm going to make all the room for it I can. Unfortunately for TJ Buddy, a little bit late on building up that Booyah Bomb that's going to allow Splatoon White to get that first checkpoint out of the way much earlier than they did in the first time that we saw this today. And an absolute ink bath yet again as Foppy getting 2 and now 3 there on top of the high ground. TJ Buddy, the last one remaining. The Rainmaker will be reset back to mid, but that's a huge opening here as TJ Buddy, the last one alive, had already used their Booyah Bomb. So most of Octos and Squids United going to be coming back with not much special to play.
Yeah, not much special to play there, and on top of it too, Fabi again knowing how to make this one count with their Auto Brush usage here in this map mode alone, and this Rainmaker was going to get picked up, but there's no advantage yet, because guess what? Autos and Squids are fighting back, and they came back. Wow, that's a wipeout, and now both teams have already cleared the first checkpoint with about 1:45 into this game, and of course they could just pop this one and just get the lead through a few quick picks there. Pampers nearly skirting with disaster there with the Booyah Bomb. Everybody's getting mowed down near the opposing player's street there from where we stand, and it's going to be one down on both sides. Wellstream being poked into it, and Atos and Squid, three members up front, still trying to find an opening here, Zach.
Yeah, Pampers seeing if they can get anybody with the triple splashdown. No success this time, but they've really favored these thin walls that they can use to take high ground, even spotting out the NZAP and 90-degree flicking to the right with that charge to make sure that they can get them down. They do get spotted out, though, so they will be known to be sitting on that high ground, but so is most of Splatoon White, to be honest. They've been very comfortable, even with some of the shorter ranged weapons like the Octobrush, of hanging out on these grates, I guess with the mobility that that weapon offers to Okamu, seeing if they can find some shots over the Wellspring, but they were expecting, I was going to say was not expecting, that shot there in the second flick with the stamp actually picking up Pampers as well. That's going to be huge. Okamu getting the assist, and now cleaning house is the last member of Scarlet going to jump to the rest of their team, and another push coming out from two teams that much quicker than we saw in Losers Finals have cleared that first checkpoint.
Yeah, this first checkpoint was cleared, and huge shoutouts to Okamu with clutch Ultra Stamp usage, shutting down Fabi, who was flying in with that Zip Caster, and then the awesome Ultra Stamp toss that took out a member as well. That was some great usage of it. Now the next question is, can they get that Rainmaker back into the location that it needs to be, which is of course close to that goal line there. But Splatoon White in this case, they clamped down on defense when needed most, and now they're looking to look for another reset here as they're trying to build up that space on that side. Unless Autos and Squids gets a little silly here with a sneaky push by themselves, I think they're going to have to just play this one a little defensively right now. Foppy's flying in once again with the Auto Brush. Chill trying to find for more value, but not able to find anybody else at that point in time. And Zach almost close to 1:05 left, and this could be another nail biter ahead of them, especially with Splatoon White taking out 2.
Yeah, it's 6-1, half dozen the other right now for Splatoon White. They get two specials that don't really do anything. Their Zipcaster doesn't find anything. Their triple splashdown doesn't really find anything, but they're getting picks, right? Jim was able to pick one up before getting mowed down by the Ultra Stamp, and they will be pushing forward off this. It's effectively 3v3, so they're going to have to be a lot more cautious with their play. Thankfully, Poppy able to get their 1v1, and now Wishy-Washy barely able to stay alive, at least for the moment, as the NZAP is able to get a couple there, including the Rainmaker carrier. So now the neutral game is back. Pampers, though, needing to stay alive here. These last 30 seconds are going to be huge. They still have several, in fact, 30 or more points to get through, and they don't have any specials on the board yet, but an early pick on the Forge might allow them to carve a path as of now.
That early pick might help a bit, but Fabi's gonna need to get some value here. This is a brawl, and they're moving a little further up with about 30 seconds left in tow. They're having to hide behind the brick there, and it's 3 points short. They're cut short with 3 points left, and Autos and Squids, they do successfully hold on. Division 2 Circuit Finals do belong to the Autos and Squids United Scarlet. They win this set 3-1, and that is your final score here in Grands.
Major congratulations to the Ohio State University's Octos and Squids United Scarlet, your Division 2 CCA Finals champions, winning a very back-end fourth set against a very scrappy University of California Davis Splatoon White squad. So back and forth. So much fun seeing the weapons that get brought here, the well strings back and forth, not only the vanilla v vanilla, but also the vanilla v custom in that regard. The Forge making its presence known, the multiple variants of blasters of the custom variety, ranged and otherwise, as well as just the multiple options for tacticooler that Octos and Squids United made work, favoring the NZAP and then at times also having the pencil too to round out their composition. The Forge being, so fun to see how many Booyah Bombs to give themselves paint that they can consistently get out. I was actually amazed from Pampers for Splatoon White that they were able to avoid as many of those Booyah Bombs as they did, because it looked like they were constantly caught on the outskirts, the very edge of that storm, and were able to survive. And I gotta give the proper props to Splatoon White. Pampers, Poppy, Jim on that Dreadringer, both varieties doing so much great work. Wishy-Washy consistently being that objective carrier as well, just running it down, and had so many close calls today. A lot of 3-2s and a 2-1 as well back and forth. They held it down to the very last, and to be honest, only a few points separating them from earning a Game 5 against this Octos and Squids United team, but their defense holds strong, and as a result, the Ohio State University, your Division 2 champions.
A lot of credit to this Autos and Squid squad here from the Ohio State University there. That's 3-1. This almost is the high-level picture of how this entire tournament from Division 2 went from start to finish. Just a ton of back and forth. Both teams kind of playing blow for blow, if you will. And hey, you mentioned before, a lot of props to Splatoon White for just playing their hearts out in that grand final set. Went to Game 4, cut short by a few points, the opposite of what happened to them in losers finals, where they were basically spared by a few points. Foppy just wasn't able to get enough left in the tank at the end, but Foppy and Jim and the rest of Splatoon White just played incredibly well. And Zach, these two sets that we had here today were basically amazing to watch.
Yeah, on that note, shout out to Surging Sea as well. They get third place here. A fantastic job out of the squad from UNC Greensboro. Had a lot of close calls. And you see, they get to winners finals. They're a game away themselves from being in the grand final situation from the winners side, and down in losers finals. An amazing, one of the best sets I've seen in a while. Back and forth consistently. Neither team really taking the advantage until the very end when Splatoon White able to pull it out over Surging Sea. And the seeding, you're seeing the 3, 5, and 7 teams be your first through third. So fun, lots of upsets, and just the way the entirety of CCA was run, and the qualifiers that were held across the 4 different divisions. I hope y'all have gotten to check out today, not just the Division 2 matches, but also all of the divisions 1 through 4, because I am so proud that there are so many universities and colleges with people interested at a high level in the game of Splatoon.
Please continue to support your local collegiate Splatoon scene, especially if you're attending college and you want to build a team up and participate in the CCA, because these CCA folks have done amazing throughout, especially with the circuit tournament that has been ran throughout this, at least for us, fall semester season for a lot of us students out there too. So this has been a lot of fun to watch, but hey, you got to watch all the action across the 4 divisions, which I believe we're going to be sending you guys over to another division that's wrapping up here in just a bit. So Zach, you have been amazing to work with throughout this Division 2 final set. I want to plug it to you real quick. Where can the people find you?
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I'm social-wise mainly on Blue Skies these days at ShinyHunterZach. You can find me there. I know Kyon's over there too. And major shout out to the production. We've had Joryan here today working with us. It's been fantastic. So seamless. Love the stats page that they have as well. It's so robust, so easy to use from a caster perspective, and just the records that CCA keeps in general. Kyon, obviously, fantastic job job today. I really appreciate getting to cast with you here. And to everybody watching, thank you so much for tuning in. As Kyon mentioned, I really hope y'all don't go anywhere. I hope y'all will stay for the raid because there's tons of other Splatoon action going on right now.